New York Sports Channel presents Mets Baseball. Tonight, the Mets take on the Houston Astros. The starting pitchers for the Astros, left-hander Jim DeShays with a record of 1-0, an earned run average of 3.68. And for the Mets, right-hander David Cone with a record of 0-1, an earned run average of 5.59. Well, hi everybody, I'm Ralph Kiner along with Fran Healy and Tim McCarver, all set for a three-game set with the Houston Astros. The first meeting between these two clubs since the playoffs, when the Mets won that thrilling sixth game when they tied it with 3 runs in the 9th inning and won it in 16 innings and became the players to go into the World Series against the Boston Red Sox and later on to become the world's champions. DeShays in that series did not appear against the Mets. He was scheduled to pitch one of the games. The game was rained out and the Houston Ball Club decided to move Knepper in to take his place in the lineup for that sixth game.
And Jim DeShays, a good pitcher. Of course, Knepper, everybody felt would dominate the Mets. He had his problems, and they felt that left-handed pitching would dominate the Mets. Right now, in fact, the song in the background here is Shea Glory Days, and the Astros and the Mets trying to get back to the glory days of 1986 when they were playing great baseball, good pitching, good hitting, good defense. Right now, both clubs struggling a little bit, but it's so early in the season. And this kid tonight, David Cone, I think he's going to win a lot of ball games in the major leagues. He has good stuff, good fastball, good breaking ball. And he's got a chance to be a real good major league pitcher. I think it was a steal for the Mets.
Cone making his debut as a starting pitcher for the New York Mets, so we have a big game coming up for you. And we invite you to stay tuned, stay right here with us, right after this commercial message. Well, Jose Cruz looking for a rally even before the game starts as he wears that rally cap. And on the mound for the New York Mets, we have David Cone, who is making his first National League start. He has a record of 0-1, an earned run average of 4.66. Cone has worked 9 2/3 innings in relief. He has given up 11 hits, struck out 9, and has walked 5. Acquired from the Kansas City Royals, David Cone.
And he'll face that lineup right there. Power hitting Bill Doran leading off. He'll be followed by Billy Hatcher, the center fielder, then Danny Walling. Middle 3, Glenn Davis, Kevin Bass, Jose Cruz. And the bottom 3, Alan Ashby, Craig Reynolds, and Jim DeShays.
And the defense for the Mets, Hernandez at first base, Tuffle at second, Santana at short, Johnson at third, McReynolds in left field, Wilson in center field, Strawberry in right, and Carter doing the catching. The umpires for the game, Joe West behind home plate, Randy Marsh, the umpire at first base, Bob Engel, the umpire at second, Paul Runge, the umpire at third. And the official score for tonight's game, Red Foley, eminent author and also a man who works for the New York Daily News. Mets with a record of 9-8. They're 1 game back of the St. Louis Cardinals, who have won 10 and lost 7. And Houston with a record of 11-8, and they are 3 games back of the Cincinnati Reds. Houston losing 3 straight to Cincinnati at home. They had won their first 9 games at home, but then Cincinnati came in to knock them out of first. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Sterling Doubleday Enterprises, Limited Partnership, and is intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission of the pictures, use, and descriptions of this game without the express written consent of Sterling Doubleday Enterprises LP and Sports Channel is prohibited. David had a record of 8-4 at Omaha last year. He was 0-0 at Kansas City, and his only decision against National League play shows him on the losing side. Bill Doran to lead it off. Doran hitting .211, 5 home runs, 10 runs batted in. Last year he batted .276 with 6 home runs and 37 RBIs. Manager Hal Lanier, former shortstop in the major leagues, the son of a former great pitcher for the Cardinals. And we're about to get underway. Doran against the Mets last year hit .208, 10 hits and 48 at bats with no home runs and 2 runs batted in. So the first pitch of the game. And the fastball, a called strike.
I believe Al Lanier's father, Max Lanier, was one of the first to decide to jump to a new league.
1946, he went to Mexico with a few other ball players. They were offered a larger amount of money than they could make in the States, and that really started off what is currently now the advantage to the players.
You know, it's funny, Ralph. Phil Rizzuto, who I worked with a number of years, told me that he had an offer and his wife talked him out of it. Good move.
And the 2-strike pitch, a fastball for a ball. Vern Stevens went down there but did not play.
Were they banned for about a year?
Several of them were banned. Yes, they were. And a breaking ball. So Cone starts off with a strikeout in this starting assignment.
Well, Bill Doran, leadoff hitter, usually a pretty good average. Right now it's down, and as I mentioned, he's hit a lot of home runs. Good pitch right there from David Cone, who features some good big league stuff. Good fastball, good breaking ball. Yogi right there talking to Bill Doran.
Yeah, Yogi would say, how can you miss a pitch like that?
It was out of the strike zone.
Billy Hatcher, the batter. Billy tearing up the National League, hitting .392, second in the National League in hitting. 2 home runs, 11 runs batted in. Last year he hit .258 with 6 home runs and 36 RBIs.
I talked to Hal Lanier before the ball game. He said this is the biggest surprise of the year for him, Billy Hatcher's production.
And the curveball for ball 1.
Talk about surprises. How about Charlie Kerfeld?
Charlie Kerfeld, who was a man who did a lot of talking in the playoffs last year, sent to the minor leagues yesterday. And the breaking ball, and Hatcher almost fell down. One thing about Cone, he's got a good curve.
Good curveball, and that'll happen a lot. The knees will buckle. Watch Billy Hatcher's knees.
Oops. Hatcher hitting behind Eric Davis, who's hitting .394 to lead the league. Hatcher does lead the league in hits with 31. He is off to a fantastic start. Second in runs scored with 15, and another swing, and it's 3-2.
Inside that guy right there is a lot of confidence. He's going to be a good major league pitcher. Watch this pitch to Billy Hatcher after throwing that hook. He threw the fastball by him. When you get that hook and your knees buckle, you just don't want to be embarrassed. You know you're halfway there when your knees are buckling. Back
with a fastball. It is just inside. And Hatcher walks. Hatcher 38 stolen bases last year, and so far this year he's had 8 stolen bases in 9 attempts. Houston, a running ball club, they have had 18 stolen bases in 22 attempts.
Keith Hernandez was just on the mound talking to David Cone. A few years ago, before Gary Carter joined the Met Ball Club, Keith Hernandez really acted as a catcher.
And that walk to Hatcher brings up Dennis Walling. Walling hitting .259 with 1 home run, and he has 2 runs batted in. Last year a .312 batter with 13 home runs and 58 RBIs, and Hatcher back. Hatcher came to Houston from the Chicago Cubs. Jerry Mumphrey going to the Cubs for him. And the breaking ball, a called strike. So Walling sees a curve on his first pitch. Walling coming on to be a fine third baseman for Houston. Major league debut for Cone, and a good move to first.
It's going to be tough to get a jump off this kid. He's had a good quick move.
Mets catchers have thrown out 7 of the 21 attempting to steal, and that pitch, a fastball, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Walling hit .241 against the Mets last year with 1 home run and 6 runs batted in.
It's a pleasure to catch a guy like this. If he gets the ball to you in a hurry and keeps the runner close to first base, gives you a shot at throwing him out.
And again the throw to first. Again, he's got him. Close play, and Hatcher picked off at first. Now they're arguing that it was a balk on the play.
You're looking at a guy with a great temper. I played with Hal Lanier in San Francisco. He has one of the better tempers in baseball. He's under control. He's under control right now. Maxie's got a chance of being thrown out of this ball game. I should say Hal. We called him Maxie after his father right there. Boy, he's going at it. So Hal Lanier discussing that play at first base. Good quick move from Dave Cone.
Hal Lanier, the manager of the year in the National League last year.
He did an outstanding job, and the guy in the other dugout has done an outstanding job. Let's check it out. He was safe. That's all right.
It was close, though.
Yeah, it's close enough to call him out, right?
Well, wasn't blatant in the other direction, and this ball a curveball bouncing away. 2-1 the count.
We talked about the check swing being so difficult to call. That play at first base is also very difficult. Everything happening so rapidly.
And that puts it at 3 balls and 1 strike. That first base umpire is Randy Marsh.
If you're a Met fan, Randy doing a fine job so far.
1 decision and 1 call of out. High pop up in the shallow center. The wind blowing very strongly here, and Mookie comes in to make the play. So in the inning, no runs, no hits, a walk, a man picked off, no one left on base, and the score at the end of 1/2 inning. Houston nothing. The Mets coming up. Jim Deshaies on the mound for Houston. A record of 1-0 this year, an earned run average of 3.68. Deshaies has worked 7 2/3 innings. He has given up 6 hits. He has struck out 11, tying his career high. Did that in 1 game, his first start. And he's walked 5. Jim Deshaies last year won 13, won 12, and lost 5.
And that's the Met lineup right there. Mookie Wilson leading off. Tim Tuffle, Keith Hernandez, Kevin McReynolds. Kevin McReynolds batting 4th in tonight's lineup. Obviously, you can see that. Darryl Strawberry, number 5. Gary Carter dropping down to the 6th slot. He came out for batting practice, early batting practice, around 3:45 today. Howard Johnson batting 7th, Santana batting 8th, and David Cone batting 9th.
And the defense, Davis at first, Doran at second, Reynolds at short, Walling at third. Cruz, Hatcher, and Bass in the outfield. Alan Ashby the catcher, and Jim Deshaies with a record of 1-0. Former Yankee had a record of 1-0 with the Yankees, and his first batter will be Mookie Wilson, and the first pitch a fastball. Mookie hitting .395 with 2 home runs, 5 runs batted in. Last year hit .289 with 9 home runs and 45 RBIs. And the breaking ball for a ball that's 1-1. Mookie hit .417 off Houston last year. Deshaies has no decisions against the Mets as you look at Yogi Berra. Probably rolling up $100 bills there.
That he found down there by the dugout.
Had to find him. Never carried one.
Boy, he's a great guy, isn't he?
Wonderful guy.
Stand next to Mike Scott. I think he's warming his hands up on Mike's sandpaper.
Mike Scott, of course, accused of roughing the ball when he pitches.
He's smart to promote it. Have people keep the rumor going.
We'll see him in this series. He's pitching Wednesday.
Look at, he wants it back. No, Yogi won't give it back to him.
3-1. The count to Mookie Wilson. Yogi and his lovely wife Carmen. Sure, Carmen is here. She loves to come out to the ball games.
Very nice lady.
And the fastball, a strike call. That puts it at 3-2. Deshaies has a tendency to be wild, and he has good stuff. He struck out 11 batters to tie his career high in working a game on April 22nd. That ball fouled away. His career high originally set against the Mets on July 3rd in 1986. And he has the major league record for strikeouts from the start of a ball game. He struck out 8 consecutive batters from the start of the ball game. Did that last year.
He's an ex-Yankee farmhand, traded over to the Houston Astros last year. Struck out 128 in 144 innings. In the minor leagues, he was a big strikeout pitcher.
And this one bounced out to Doran at second. A fine fielding second baseman to throw in the dirt, though. And dug out by Davis at first base.
Nice play by Doran and nice play by Davis. Ordinarily, the right-handed first baseman will look a lot more awkward. Here's Doran, one of the most underrated players in the National League, and here's Davis, and the right-handed first baseman will look a little bit more uncomfortable at first base, but Davis does a good job defensively.
So 1 away, no score in the ball game, and Tim Tuffle the batter. Tim hitting .400 with no home runs, 5 RBIs. Last year, Tuffle hit .247 with 4 home runs and 31 runs batted in. And the fastball a strike. Tuffle hit .125 against Houston last season with only 3 hits and 24 at-bats. Fastball fouled back, strike 2.
Boy, Deshaies showing a real good fastball right there, and Tuffle with good, quick bat speed.
12-5 last year for DeShays to set an all-time rookie win record for Houston. And there's his first strikeout. Good fastball.
Threw that ball right by Tuffle. A good night for a hot dog.
Number 17.
In that game where DeShays struck out 11 Mets, he did it in 7 innings and left the game at 3-3.
In the minor leagues, DeShays featured a no-hitter when he was at the Yankee Nashville AA ball club, and he pitched it, ironically, against the Houston Astros Columbus AA affiliate.
And now the batter will be Keith Hernandez. Keith currently on a hitting streak. He's hit in 10 consecutive ball games, hitting .378 over the 10 games. That has raised his average to .277 for the year with 1 home run and 6 runs batted in. And the fastball for ball 1. In the 10 games that Keith has had at least 1 base hit, he's picked up a total of 14. .310 batter last year, 13 home runs, 83 runs batted in. And the fastball again, it's ball 2. Hernandez batted .308 against Houston last season with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. And the fastball hit high in the air to deep right center field. Way back. It's going, and it's gone. Goodbye. Keith Hernandez with a home run, and the Mets lead it 1-0.
Keith Hernandez, a good friend of Hal Lanier. Hurt the one you love. Well, Keith just hit a long home run off of Jim DeShays. This is unlike Keith Hernandez. Watch the cut. It's a home run swing. He really tattooed that ball because the wind is really blowing from right to left.
And the home run puts the Mets up 1-0 and brings up Kevin McReynolds. McReynolds currently a hot batter, and he hits the first pitch foul. Reynolds has hit in 7 consecutive ball games, hitting .448 over that time, and he has raised his average to .346. 4 home runs and 7 runs batted in. That was Hernandez's 2nd home run of the year, and the off-speed pitch gets him strike 2.
See how easy McReynolds swings the bat. We've talked about it before. He told me that Deacon Jones, the batting instructor with the San Diego Padres, when he was in a slump, when McReynolds was in a slump, Deacon Jones told him, I want you to swing as hard as you can, and I want you to look bad.
And a fastball for a ball, 1-2.
He'd have loved me as a hitter. I don't know. And Kevin told me he couldn't understand it, and he wouldn't do it.
Deacon played for me and had a .400 minor league year one year.
He's a good hitter, Deacon Jones, but I think he flipped out that particular day. In fact, I think Deacon Jones, I know he's from the Westchester area, and I believe in the Hall of Fame as a Legion ball player.
Classy guy and an outstanding minor league hitter.
We're going to have to talk to him about his philosophy.
2-2 as DeShays comes back to McReynolds, and he gets him. So the strikeout ends the inning. He got 2 in the inning, but the 1 hit was a home run by Keith Hernandez. No one left, and the score at the end of 1. The Mets 1, Houston 0. Jim DeShays back on the bench after his half inning, giving up the home run to Keith Hernandez. Mets leading 1-0. And talking it over with Yogi Berra.
Yogi makes the game very simple. As a hitting instructor, he would tell you to go to the plate, look at the ball, and hit it.
And Glenn Davis having trouble hitting the ball so far this year, and the big curve for ball 1. Davis hitting .235 with 2 home runs, 7 runs batted in. Last year hit .265 with 31 home runs and 101 runs batted in. And he pulls that pitch into the stands foul.
Past 2 years, Glenn Davis has had major problems in negotiating his contract.
Of course, he can't go to arbitration until he has 3 full years in the major leagues.
He almost did not show up for spring training this year.
And the curveball for ball 2, 2-1.
That curveball right there will get you hurt because you'll guess curveball and get the fastball right up around the chin. Look at the hook. Now that wasn't one of David Cohn's better curveballs. He'll really buckle you when he throws that good one.
Cuts back with a fastball that misses, 3-1.
Like I said, the problem is you see it and then you're determined to stay in there for that curveball. All of a sudden, he lets loose with an inside fastball, and you got a problem.
And he walks his first batter here in the second. Mets leading 1-0, so the tying run is on. His second walked Billy Hatcher in the first, but solved that by picking him off at first. Now Kevin Bass, the batter. Al Lanier, the manager of Houston. Bass, a .311 hitter last year. So far this year hitting .320. 3 home runs, 12 RBIs. Bass had 20 home runs last year with 79 runs batted in, and he is a fine player. Switch hitter, good hitter from both sides. And the fastball hit on the ground. They'll have to hurry to get 2. There's 1, and they can't get the other. Bass gets down that line. Not an easy play for either the second baseman or the shortstop to pick up the double play.
And it was a broken bat, so the ball not hit that hard. Took a little tricky hop on Tuffle. He had to make sure he could glove the ball before throwing it. And he got it to Santana. And the one thing Rafi does is get the ball out of the glove in a hurry and over to first. But the one thing he lacks is that shotgun arm that can make up for lost time.
So the force play at second. Bass now on at first. Had 22 stolen bases last year, so he's a base stealer. And the batter is Jose Cruz, hitting .224. Cruz with 2 home runs, 6 runs batted in. And the first pitch, ball 1. Cruz last year hit .278 with 10 home runs and 72 batted in, and he is a veteran and also an underrated ball player, and mainly because he plays in Houston. They get very little publicity out of there, although last year they got a lot because of the playoffs.
Yet during this past off season in spring training, they were trying to trade him.
Cruz has spent some time in the majors. One of the great bargains of all time, picked up from the St. Louis Cardinals for $25,000 cash. Of course, he had 2 other brothers that played in the major leagues. Runner goes, a pitch, a curveball, and taking the throw down to second is not in time. And the stolen base goes to Kevin Bass.
Let's see if Rafi took this throw on the bag and get that glove in front of the bag. If it would have been closer, he catches the ball behind the base. Of course, the ball tailing away. Nothing else he could do. Good jump, Kevin Bass. And Gary Carter getting the ball down to second base, but a stolen base for Kevin Bass. For Bass, he's been caught twice, and he now has 3 stolen bases.
19th stolen base in 23 attempts for Houston, and the pitch back to Cruz, a ball, and it's 3-1. Cruz got his 1,000th RBI in the major leagues and his 1,800th hit on his 39th birthday last year, July 11th. This one hit high in the air down the left field line. It'll be out of play. Cruz off to a very slow start last year. Ended up at .278. The year before, he batted .300. Mets leading 1-0. Houston with a runner at second base, 1 man out. Top of the second inning. And again, a foul ball. Three and 2 the count. And he goes after a bad pitch and grounds it foul, so that keeps him at home plate instead of walking to first. From Puerto Rico, purchased from St. Louis. And there's ball 4. So 2 walks in the inning and runners at first and second now with 1 man out. Third walk by Cohn.
The catcher, number 14.
And it brings up Alan Ashby. Ashby hitting .265, 1 home run, 7 runs batted in. Last year, Ashby hit .257 with 7 home runs. His first 4 home runs of the season last year were game winners. It's a way to start off.
Pressure player. He's been a good player for many, many years in the major leagues. Came up with the Cleveland Indians. He's done a fine job.
This one bounced out in the hole, and a good play by Tuffle to get it. The throw to first, and it is taken by Cohn, and he makes the play, I should say, by Hernandez, and he makes the play barehanded and somehow managed to stay in the bag. What a play by Keith Hernandez.
Rarely do you see Keith Hernandez get his feet all tied up. This is a very good play right here by Tuffle. Throws on a move, and watch Hernandez. His feet got all tied up, and he was still able to make the catch and then set himself for a possible play at home. Another look at that play. Good play by Tuffle. Watch Keith.
Keith had to scramble back as he was going for that ball, and he did get back, and he had trouble finding the bag.
Now, keep in mind the first baseman play way off the base, or Keith Hernandez does play way off the base because he does have pretty good speed. He gets back to first base. When you get there, you have to set and find out where the ball is.
Well, the runners move up, so first base is open, and the Mets are going to walk Craig Reynolds. Reynolds hitting at .304 for the year with no home runs and 1 run batted in.
Boy, the Astros really lucky to have this guy, Dickie Thon, having a brilliant career with the Houston Astros, and was struck in the face by a pitch thrown by Mike Torres, and he's had a lot of trouble since then. Left spring training this year. Had major problems with Houston when he came back. In fact, Al Lanier told me before the ball game what upset him was Dickie Thon never called him and said, I'm going to leave spring training. Or when he left spring training, call him and say, you know, I got a problem. So they find him, and they had a lot of problems with Dickie Thon. Of course, Dickie Thon holds the record for home runs for a shortstop in the history of the Houston Astros with 20 in the Astrodome.
Mike Torres, when he hit him, was pitching for the New York Mets.
Oh, he got him, boy, right at cheekbone.
And he has deteriorating eyesight in that left eye. And the first pitch to Deshays is ball 1. Deshays 0 for 2 so far this year. Bases loaded, so nowhere to put this man. Mets leading 1-0. Houston threatening here in the top of the second, 2 men out. And it's ball 2. And there's a strike. Good fastball.
Shea's jumping out of there. A lot of times that'll work against the hitter.
Umpires don't like you to do that. It shows them up. And it's ball 3, and now 3-1. Cohn having a lot of difficulty with his control. He has walked 4 batters, 3 in this inning. And the bases are loaded. All 4, and that forces in a run. The game is tied at 1. The Mets hoping to get a great game from their young pitcher, making his major league debut as a starter. Now he has walked 4 in the inning to tie the game at 1 as Kevin Bass comes in to score.
Here's that last pitch. Ball 4 to the pitcher. How many times have you heard, Ralph, even though you were an outfielder, you hear the coach or the manager getting on a pitcher for walking a pitcher? So consequently, when you're pitching to a pitcher, there's probably more pressure on you not to walk him than anybody else in the lineup.
Gets psyched out. Now it's Bill Dorn batting for the second time. Bill was struck out his first time up. And the curveball for a ball.
Good idea. They changed pitch selection just to see if Cohn could throw the ball over the plate and break his negative rhythm.
Doesn't get any help there from Joe West. Close pitch for ball 2. Fastball hit up the middle. Tuffle can't handle it, and at least 2 runs a score. Cruz comes in from third base. Reynolds comes in from second, and going to third is Deshays, and Houston now leads by a score 3-1.
Well, Mel Stottlemyre now going out to talk along with Keith Hernandez to David Cohn. David pitching his way into a jam, and right there, a ground ball that would have ended the inning, but here it is again, an error on Tim Tuffle. Doran pulling that ball that was tailing away. Tuffle gets over. It looked like he slipped. Ball hit off the glove and off the leg and shot into right field, so an error on Tim Tuffle, but Cone is pitching his way into that jam. There's really not much you can do. There's not much you can say to a young pitcher. Here it is again. And an error on Tuffle. He just has to go out and pitch and get out of the jam. And it's an experience. And hopefully he'll learn by the experience and it'll make him tougher. But this rhetoric is difficult to comprehend when you're on the mound and the roof is falling in.
Now Billy Hatcher the batter. Billy walked his first time up. And a throw to first base and Doran back. The 2 runs that scored on the air are unearned runs, as if the ball had been fielded, the inning would have been over. And here's the pitch back to Hatcher, and he takes for ball 1. And again, Cone behind the hitter. Curveball, a runner goes, no throw. As Carter comes up to throw and then decides he can't even come close on Doran, so another stolen base, the second in this inning for Houston.
They tell you in a situation like that to look the runner back at third and throw through, but forget it. Doran runs too fast to look at runner back to third and throw through.
And the fastball fouled back out of play. 2 balls, 1 strike. .31 hits for Billy Hatcher, and he's second in the National League in hitting. Coming into this game at .392. This ball hit in the air to center. It's playable. So Mookie Wilson under it, and he makes the play. But Houston gets 3 runs without a base hit. There were 4 walks in the inning, 1 error, 2 of the runs unearned, and 2 men left in scoring position. The score at the end of 1.5. The Astros 3, the New York Mets 1. Well, we're going to the bottom of the second inning. Houston taking the lead with 3 runs without a base hit in the top of the second. Mets had held the lead on Hernandez home run, and David Cone going back in after that disastrous inning.
And Mel Stottlemyre talking to him in the dugout, and I'm not sure if there's anything you can say to him. Well, you can hang with him, but he's going to have to learn, and he's been through it before in the minor leagues. A big difference in the major leagues.
Well, there's so much more pressure in the major leagues.
Of course, he's also pitching here in New York. He's pitching against a team. He's pitching for a team against the team that he watched last year on television in the playoffs. Bigger than life. I think it helps for a guy, for example, Lee Mazzilli, who came from Brooklyn, New York, spent a lot of time at Shea. I think it helps if a guy comes from a big city. He's not intimidated as much as a guy who comes from a small city, because a small town, you're looking at the major leagues. It's a big, big dream. It's an intimidating. It's intimidating to a young kid. Where a guy that grows up in a major city, it's not intimidating.
David Cone growing up in Kansas City, 15 minutes from the ballpark, and still lives in Kansas City. Darryl Strawberry to lead it off. And DeShays with his first pitch for ball 1. Strawberry hitting .302 with 5 home runs, 17 runs batted in. And the curveball fouled away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Darryl is tied for the National League lead in RBIs. Andre Dawson of the Cubs was 17, and Bo Diaz of the Reds was 17. Fastball for a ball. 2 balls, 1 strike. Hit high in the air to left center. A lot of wind out there. Jose Cruz all over that outfield, but he tracks it down. So Strawberry skying out, 1 away, and it brings up Gary Carter. Gary 0 for 11 against the Cardinals in the 3-game series. He's now hitting in the 6th batting position, hitting .239 for the year.
And I think that affects you. Batted 4th your whole career, and all of a sudden you drop down to the 6th slot.
Well, I think that McReynolds, being so hot, moved up to the 4th is not quite as disastrous as it might be to somebody who has a lot of pride in hitting 4th. Carter understands it, and he's still got 14 RBIs.
But wouldn't it still bother you? You hit 4th your whole career, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm the manager. I move you into the 6th slot.
It would bother me.
He'd come in and punch me, probably.
Carter with extra batting practice this afternoon, came out early. And the fastball, 3 balls, no strikes. Carter hit .255 last year with 24 home runs. Deshae set a rookie record with his 12 wins last season. Walked him on 4 pitches. So with Carter on first, the tying run is at the plate with Howard Johnson the batter.
Third baseman, Howard Johnson.
Johnson with 2 home runs, 1 right-handed and 1 left-handed. Hitting .250 for the year with 9 runs batted in. Howard, a .245 hitter last season. 5 in a row out of the strike zone for Deshaes. Howard had 10 home runs last year with 39 runs batted in. Has a modest 4-game hitting streak. And the fastball, a called strike. Outfield straightaway and not too deep in center and right. The wind appears to be blowing in from center field tonight. But you can never tell in this ballpark. The wind gusts so much that it might look like it's blowing in, and that in some places might be swirling out. And he tries the curveball and gets a strike. 1-2.
Ralph, I know all hitters love to see the wind blow out, but as a proficient home run hitter, when you looked out and saw the wind blowing in, what happened?
Well, I didn't change anything. Just you knew you had to try and drive it through the wind to hit it out of the ballpark. Of course, I think what's a deterrent more than the wind is the fact that it's so cold. It is very cold out here tonight.
Well, I mentioned before on our Sports Channel cablecast that the amateur players have it tougher in the East than they do where you were born and brought up, because they play about 19 high school games in this type of weather.
It is not easy. 3-2 on Howard Johnson. 1 man out, bottom of the 2nd. Houston leading 3-1. Mets against left-hand pitching this year have won 4 and lost 4. Their overall record 9-8. Fastball gets him. So Deshaes with his 3rd strikeout. They have all come on fastballs.
So you know what you're going to get. 3-2 pitch. Here's the heater. Power against power. Good fastball hitter, and he swings right through the fastball.
Well, 1 pitch makes a lot of difference. If he had walked it better, the Mets would have had runners at 1st and 2nd with 1 out. He strikes him out on that 1 pitch. 1 pitch either way. Rafael Santana the batter, and Santana takes a called strike. Santana hitting .204 for the year with 1 home run, 3 runs batted in. Batted .218 last year with 1 home run and 28 batted in. And Santana fouls off the fastball, strike 2. Another good crowd on hand, an amazingly good crowd for this weather.
But it was a pleasant afternoon. All of a sudden, Mother Nature turned on us.
Santana off to a slow start, 0 for 16 at the start of the season, and he swings too far, and that's a 4 strikeout for Deshays. In the inning, no runs, no hits, a walk, and 1 left, and the score at the end of 2. Houston 3, the New York Mets 1. Top of the 3rd inning, Houston leading by a score of 3-1 as they come up here against David Cone, and the leadoff batter will be Denny Walling. Walling flied out to the center fielder's first time up. He was the only man not to bat in the 2nd inning when Houston did not get a hit. Houston picking up 3 runs, 2 of them unearned, without a base hit. Cone has allowed no hits, and he's trailing by a score of 3-1. And from that story, you'd have to believe he's been wild, and that he has. He has walked 5 batters in this game. 1 ball, no strikes to Walling. And a ground ball in the hole, and Tuffle knocks it down but has no play. Good try by Tuffle, as he did knock it down. Earlier in that 2nd inning, Tuffle made a 2-out error that allowed 2 runs to score, so the fans getting on him.
The next batter, first baseman.
An infield hit for Denny Walling. Nice try by Tim Tuffle.
So Houston gets their first hit, and the batter coming up will be Glenn Davis. Davis walked to lead off the 2nd inning. Davis with an average of 235, and the breaking ball, but ball 1.
Talked about Davis's contractual problems with the Houston Astros the past 2 seasons. You wonder how many times he'll take it before it'll bother him on the field. I know last year I had the opportunity to talk to him during the playoffs. It still bothered him during the playoffs, his contract negotiations last year.
And again, the curveball, again a ball, 2-0. He certainly had a great year last year. 31 home runs, 101 RBIs.
But it's funny, even during the playoffs, after that great year and the excitement of the playoffs, he talked about contract negotiations with the general manager, Dick Wagner.
And the fastball hit the deep left field. It is gone. Goodbye. That ball over the back wall of the bullpen. A tremendous home run. And Houston leading by a score of 5-1.
Davey Johnson has to be concerned right there. David Cone throwing a pitch to Glenn Davis, and Glenn Davis smoking the ball. He did it last year. One of the major reasons the Astros won the division in the West.
Right
there, Glenn Davis. Here it is again. Cone challenging him with the heater out over the plate. And Glenn Davis up on the count, hits a bullet over to that left field wall.
That is his 3rd home run of the year, and Houston now in front by a score of 5-1. And the batter will be Kevin Bass. Bass grounded into a force play his first time up, and the fastball for ball 1.
Saw Nolan Ryan down there in the dugout congratulating Glenn Davis. Nolan's going to write a book.
Ryan Express has already been written.
Isn't that? Yeah, that's right. Ooh. You've never been on the other end of the Express, huh?
No, I haven't. 1-1 the count.
Of course, Nolan Ryan broke in with the New York Mets. Ralph, did you have something to do with getting him traded?
Well, I thought he was one great talent when he came up here to the Mets. He had a great fastball, and he had a very, very good curve.
Wild.
But he wasn't happy in the Big Apple. He did ask to be traded somewhere else, and the Mets did trade him.
For Jim Fregosi.
Jim Fregosi deal. The strange part about his, and there's a drive into the right field corner. Strawberry over to the warning track, and he pulls it in. So Bass lines out. First out here in the third. Houston leading 5-1. The batter will be Jose Cruz. The strange thing about that Nolan Ryan deal for Jim Fregosi, the Mets had to throw in 3 other players to make the deal. You talk about highway robbery.
Of course, Nolan really got it together out there at Anaheim. Nobody could hit him. When I was in Kansas City, he'd throw the glove out in the mound and the game was over.
And a line drive to right center field off the fastball. Over there is Mookie Wilson. He cuts it off, boots it. Now can't pick it up. Cruz to second base and holding there. So the roof falling in on David Cone as he realizes one thing in the major leagues, that you cannot throw fastballs by hitters. You cannot pitch from behind.
They'll catch up to you no matter how fast you throw the ball. Here's a heater, and Cone can get it up there in a hurry. But of course, Cruz up on the count, slaps the ball in the right center field. Mookie gives it a little soccer kick and gets over, picks it up. But Cruz now down on second base.
Still rolling along, and Houston now with Alan Ashby the batter. He was out in the fine play by Tuffle his first time up. First pitch to him, ball 1. And a good change up there in the count. 1 ball and 1 strike. Ashby with 7 home runs last year, switch hitter.
They have 2 catchers on this ball club, both of them switch hitters.
Both switch hitters, how about that?
Reminiscent of the Cardinals, as Ashby just took a strike, reminiscent of the Cardinals with Ted Simmons. And they had another catcher. That was a switch hitter. What was his name?
I can't think of it right now.
They call him Iron.
And another changeup.
Bob Stenson.
Bob Stenson, okay.
Both switch hitters.
1 and 2.
How would you like to be the manager? You have to tell somebody. Usually a manager can tell you, well, I'm going to play him tonight because it's a right-hander pitching. You get a switch hitter, you can't say that.
Mark Bailey was actually sent out last year in the middle of the season.
Pitchers, I think, got him sent out.
And the curveball in the dirt, it bounces up toward third. Cruz to third base, and he's in there. So a wild pitch.
Well, Gary Carter did all he could do. The ball is down, bounces. Carter keeps the ball in front of him. It stays up. He grabs it. He throws to third. It really beats the runner, but Cruz is safe. Another angle. Carter getting the ball to third base. Nice slide by Cruz, touching the back part of that base.
So now a runner at third with 1 out. Mets trailing by 4, and they play their infield in. 3 and 2 the count to Alan Ashby. And the curveball, ball 4. 6th walk in this game given up by Cone. And it brings up Craig Reynolds, who has walked intentionally back in the second. No one throwing in the bullpen. The Mets have announced that Bob Ojeda will miss his turn tomorrow night. He'll be pushed back to the end of the week because of tenderness in his elbow. And Davey Johnson has announced that he will name the pitcher that's going to pitch tomorrow. Ojeda was the scheduled pitcher after the game tonight. So the Mets hurting in the pitching department. Craig Reynolds, and that one in the dirt. Good block again by Carter, and the runner at third, Jose Cruz, holds it. Boy, this has been one of those games, and now
Davey Johnson going out to talk to Cone, and the curveball bounces down low, and Carter keeps the ball in front of him. Well, there's not much you can do. He just has to learn and get comfortable up here in the major leagues. Davey Johnson now will get somebody up in the bullpen, but he's going to stay with Cone. He has good stuff. That curveball breaking just a little bit too much. You want the big break, but you don't want it to bounce. A lot of times when a guy is tight and over anxious, he'll grip that ball too tight, and his release point is too low, and the ball consequently bounces. This guy will be all right, though. He's going to be a good pitcher.
Cone doesn't have a whole lot of pitching experience. He didn't play on his high school baseball team because they didn't have any, and he missed 1 full year because of a broken bone in a collision at home plate. So he has missed 1 full year of professional baseball after he had signed. But he does have a major league breaking ball. And the 1-0 pitch, a fastball, and it's ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. Cruz, the runner at third base.
Dennis Minky flashing signs.
And the runner at first base is Alan Ashby.
By the way, the coach at first base, a St. John's graduate, Matt Galante.
And Reynolds pops it up foul, and it will be out of play. Two and one. Reynolds walked his first time up. Was walked intentionally to get to the pitcher. That loaded up the bases, and then Jim DeShays, the pitcher, walked to force in the first run of the game. Cohen might have gotten out of that inning if Tuffle at second base hadn't booted a ground ball for the final out. And 2 more runs scored, but the runners were all on as a result of walks. Two and one. There comes Cruz, and the squeeze play is on, and what a bunt! As a ball is bunted by Reynolds as he goes down, the pitch right at him, and it's fielded by Cohen. He throws to first for the out, but another run scores on the squeeze play, and believe me, how he bunted this ball, I don't think anybody knows.
Oh, that's unbelievable. Here it is again, right up at his head. Still gets the head of the bat on the ball. Got the ball in fair territory. That's what they want you to do when you squeeze. Just get the ball in fair territory on the ground. Well, that's an outstanding bunt.
So it'll go as a sacrifice and a run batted in, and what a play. The second squeeze in 2 days pulled against the Mets. Whitey Herzog did it against the Mets yesterday. Ball, 1 strike. DeShays walked his first time up in the second, and he got an RBI as the bases were loaded. His second RBI of the year, and that ball fouled off, and Cohen for one of the few times ahead of a batter. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Ground ball bobbled by Santana, and he has no play. Everything happening to the Mets here.
Well, the Mets
second game in a row.
They've been in a good cycle, excuse me, Ralph, and they right now are in a bad cycle, and they can't do anything right. Tim Tuffle making it here. David Cone pitching himself into jams, and right here, Rafael Santana gloving the ball, and the ball is hot.
So an error charge to Santana. Runners now at first and third and 2 men out. The batter will be Bill Doran. Doran 0 for 2 in this game. He was the man that hit the ground ball that would have been the third out in the second inning. That was booted at second, and the fastball a called strike. Houston leading 6-1. And another fine play by Carter, and the runners hold.
Well, yesterday Gary Carter spent a lot of time blocking balls or chasing balls, and tonight again he's blocking a lot of pitches. Good workout.
Second inning in a row where Houston has sent 8 men to the plate, and now this ball, a balk evidently is called. Yeah, a balk is called. What else is going to happen? A balk called against Cone by home plate umpire Joe West, and now Davy Johnson comes out to ask why.
I believe he said he picked that front leg up. He must have put it back down again. Well, Joe West looking for just about everything tonight. Davy Johnson arguing with him right now. Let's see what happens. See if he flex it. Brings the glove down. Watch the front leg. He just threw Davy Johnson out of the game.
don't know how that ball was called.
Yeah, I don't either.
Block.
I got to see it again.
Well, there's certain block calls you cannot even question. And that might be the reason why Davies out of there.
Now, I think he might have said that he flexed that front leg while he was bringing his hands down. We'll have to take a look at it again. That would be deceiving the runner. Okay, here's David Cohn now. Watch his hands coming down. Let's see what he does that front leg. Is there any movement? He's not too much.
I don't know how you can call that.
No way.
Strictly in the umpire's discretion, and a block call by Joe West. Well, the Mets don't need that. That's the second block that's been called against the Mets in 2 days. Ron Darling was called on a block that led to a run against the Cardinals yesterday.
Let's take a look at it again. Let's see if the hands come down. He's looking at the runner in first.
Well, he didn't quite stop. That might be the only thing you could see.
Yeah, but if they're going to call that, they better call it a whole lot.
The idea is if you deceive the runner. Now, who are you going to deceive with the guy on third and the pitcher running on first? Pitcher doesn't figure to ever be stealing.
Did his hand stop and then start up again?
Well, Louis Tiant did that all his career.
Yeah, and once they put in the rule, they allowed Louis Tiant to continue doing it, but they're stopping everybody else. Now another block. Maybe, I guess he's saying he's not stopping. We got to take another look. Davey might come out of the clubhouse. Now Mel Stottlemyre. Cohn saying, what's going on?
So Carter out to talk to his pitcher. This has got to be nerve-wracking and devastating to David Cohn.
Let's take a look at it again. Let's see if the hands stop and start, or let's see if he doesn't stop. Hands are up. They come down, 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 and
well, he doesn't stop. That's it.
He's got to be calling for not stopping. But as long as Country Joe West continues to call it throughout the year, there's nothing wrong with calling it because it's a block. But as long as he does it throughout the year,
he can solve that right now by winding up.
That's right, and he did.
And a good curveball. So that pitch, a perfect pitch, and it ends the inning. But 4-run score on a total of 3 hits. There were 3 balks. Runners moving up. And the score at the end of 2.5 innings, Houston 7, the Mets 1. Now let's go to Lee.
Ralph, in the West, San Francisco stays hot on the heels of the first-place Reds. The Giants now just half a game back after beating the Braves at Atlanta 7-3 tonight. The hero for the Giants, Chili Davis, tags Rick Mailer here with a bases-loaded line drive single to right. Dale Murphy bobbles the ball. That allows Rob Thompson and Kelly Downs to score. This gave the Giants a 4-1 lead in the top of the 7th. Broke the game open. Davis added a solo home run in the 9th. Had 3 RBIs on the day. Downs gets the win. Mailer takes the loss. Hockey tonight. Stanley Cup playoffs. Detroit and Toronto scoreless after the first period in that series that Toronto leads 2-1. That's the news for now. Let's send you back to Shea Stadium and Ralph Kiner and Fran Healy.
The afternoon, May 2nd.
Well, Mets against the Montreal Expos. Saturday, May 2nd, it's Top Job Batting Helmet Day, as all fans 14 and under will receive a specially designed Mets batting helmet featuring the Mets World Championship logo, courtesy of Top Job Liquid Cleaner. Tickets are available at all Ticketron outlets, Shea Stadium's advanced ticket window, or call 718-507-TIXX for all ticket information. That game time is 1:20.
And fans, spring fever is at Shea, and you can be a part of it by attending Mets home games in April and May. You can earn a 1986 Rawlings official World Series baseball. All you have to do is purchase $150 worth of tickets to games in April and May and save the rain check tickets, the ticket stubs from that rain check from these games. For details on how you can redeem your ticket stubs, pick up the special Rawlings offer, which is available at Shea's advanced ticket window, or call the Mets at 718-507-TIXX during regular business hours, and they will be happy to send you the order form. For more information, call 718-507-TIXX during business hours. Well, the bottom falling out in the Mets here on a very cold day, cold evening. Houston leading by a score of 7-1. They have scored 7 runs on only 3 hits. And now the Mets coming up.
And David Cone.
David Cone is going to stay in the ballgame, which indicates that Davey does not want to use up any of his pitching. Any of the pitchers he has left.
He also like to see this kid pitch well the rest of this ball game.
That's not a bad idea. If you are being pounded hard and having trouble, leave him in there and let him work it out.
That's right. And Davey Johnson, an excellent manager when it comes to young players. Really with all players. There's Mel Stoudemire talking to David Cone. But Davey's done a great job since taking over the reins here in New York. One of the most underrated managers in all of baseball.
He has won more games than any manager in the game over the last 3 years and has not been voted the manager of the year.
They got to applaud his efforts.
And the first pitch by Deshays, a fastball for ball 1. Well, you'd like to see David Cone battle back from all the adversity of this ball game. He has a big cut there. He looks like a good hitter.
He does. Taking a big rip. Some managers, you don't want to see young players break in under some managers, but Davey Johnson's the type, if you're a young player, you like to break in under a guy like that.
You know, looking at his determination right here and his hitting appearance and those eyes, he certainly looks good. I mean, he doesn't look intimidated whatsoever. He says, I'm going to battle back. He has that kind of an approach to life. Look at those eyes. He's mad.
And I think that's one of the reasons he's going to be a good pitcher besides real good stuff. But he's determined.
That's a great picture right there. He strikes out, but he had some good cuts as Deshays gets his 5th strikeout.
It'll be interesting to see if David Cone can get it together on that mound before the night's over.
So the Mets have gone through their first 9, and Deshays has struck out 5. And it will be Mookie Wilson batting for the 2nd time. Mookie grounded out his first time up. And the fastball for a ball. Drive down the right field line. It's a fair ball. Mookie on his way to 2nd. He'll go to 3rd. The relay won't even be thrown to 3rd. It comes into home as Mookie ends up with a triple.
Wow, Mookie Wilson scorching this ball down the right field line. Ball out over the plate. That natural left-hander's tail, the ball tailing away. Mookie Wilson hitting the ball down in the corner, and forget it. I'm not going to throw him out.
Second baseman, Tim Tupple.
Here it is again, Mookie running like Willie Mays, watching that ball. So forget that coach. He's one of the few base runners that can do that. He had that ball in front of him, then he had it a little bit behind him. He took a look over his shoulder.
Mookie's 2nd triple this year, his 48th as a New York Met. He holds the Met record for most triples ever. And now the batter will be Tim Tupple. And Tupple fouls a fastball back. Tupple struck out his first time up, struck out in a fastball. Houston leading 7-1. 1 man out, bottom half of the 3rd. And the breaking ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Houston playing Tupple as though he were a left-hand batter. Again, the breaking ball, 2-1. There you see the alignment against Tupple, who's been pulling the ball very well this year. And the fastball, ball 3-1. Shays has been known to get wild in ball games.
I mentioned he has that strikeout pitch, but Shays can walk some hitters, and of course there's Hal Lanier watching closely.
Comes back and gets a fastball at the knees, a called strike, 3-2. His best pitch is his high fastball.
Last year he walked 86 batters. So that wasn't too shabby last year.
There's that fastball hit foul down the right field side. Well, he's walked 5 batters in 7 1/3 innings coming into this game, but he also had struck out 11. He did those 11 strikeouts in 1 ball game, his other start. That tied his all-time high for strikeouts set against the Mets July 3rd last year. And ball 4. So the Mets trying to get something going, have runners at first and third and 1 out, and Keith Hernandez coming up.
How about Hernandez? Last time up, he had a home run hitter swing. Uppercutting the ball. The ball, he indicated the ball was out of the strike zone.
Keith picking up his 2nd home run of the year, a drive over the right center field fence. And he also picked up his 7th RBI. He came into the game hitting .277, and he extended his hitting streak to 11 consecutive games. His high 15 games, he did that with the St. Louis Cardinals. Longest hitting streak this year, Billy Hatcher had 16 straight games with at least 1 hit. And the strike call. Keith's home run came in a 2-ball, no-strike fastball right down the slot. And there he is, hitting .395 in his last 11 games. One after the fastball, strike 2. That pitch a good pitch for the pitcher.
Keith was trying to hit it over the wall again.
Mets need a bunch here as they trail 7-1 on a very cold evening. Look at that. Wally Backman going for that hot coffee. And this pitch fouled. It'll be out of play. So the count stays as strike 2 as Keith Hernandez bats with runners at first and third, 1 man out, bottom half of the 3rd. Well, this is definitely a 2-glove night.
Boy, it really is. There's Mookie with his on, Tuffa with his on. And Keith rarely wears gloves.
Just too cold not to do it. Fastball hit on the ground. It'll be turned into a double play. So the double play ends the inning. The Mets threaten but do not score after a 1-out triple by Mookie Wilson. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left on base. The score at the end of 3. Houston 7, the New York Mets 1.
It's 7-1 as we go to the top of the 4th inning here at Shea Stadium. 3 hits in this game for the Astros, 7 runs. We've had a couple of balks, a lot of things happening. Sliding into the booth right now, Tim McCarver, and sliding to the plate, Billy Hatcher. Billy Hatcher 0 for 1 in this game, and he has to be a big surprise in the National League, Tim.
Yeah, you mentioned that Hal Lanier said that, and he certainly is.
This is one of the reasons. He just jolted that ball. Will it get out of here? Yes. Home run, Billy Hatcher. 8-1, Astros on top of the Mets. So the Astros hammering, well, I shouldn't say hammering the ball. It's their 4th hit.
Home run number 3 for Billy Hatcher in his first major league home run against the New York Mets' Ron Darling a couple of years ago, and he has to be considered a surprise.
How about that for a trade? Hatcher for Jerry Mumphrey. Of course, Mumphrey, good major league player. And here's David Cone right now pitching to Denny Walling. Walling in this ball game, 1 for 2. 8-1, the Astros on top of the Mets. David Cone on the mound for the Mets had some control trouble. And right now he's 2-1 on Denny Walling. Fly ball. The wind is blowing towards left field. Mookie Wilson under this one and makes the catch. One down.
Take a look at that home run by Billy Hatcher. This is one of the real reasons why you try to get ahead in a ball game. You can do so many more things when you're ahead. Good base running by Jose Cruz the last inning. He probably wouldn't have tried it if they were behind. And Billy Hatcher just hammers one out. I guess every time you see Hatcher hit a home run, you think of the home run off Jesse Orozco in the 13th inning of Game 6 of the playoffs last year that tied it. One of the most dramatic games I've ever seen.
Oh, that was a great game. Great series all around. 0-1 on Glenn Davis. He hits a drive down a left field line. Foul ball. So Glenn Davis almost had his second home run of the evening. He's 1 for 1. He's walked. And David Cone getting a baptism under fire here.
Well, I guess you could say David's almost like the sacrificial lamb right now with Bobby Ojeda not being able to start tomorrow night. Terry Leach has been named as the starter tomorrow night. Should he not get in the ball game tonight. And the Mets are short on pitching right now. Best pitching staff in baseball last year, and all of a sudden in their 20th game of this season, they're in trouble, or 18th game.
And a ground ball. Santana to first, 2 down. That's why it's always difficult when you're talking about repeating and how a club's going to do during the season. You look at the Kansas City Royals last year. Brett Saberhagen was real poor. I believe he's 4-0 now here in '87.
Look at the Detroit Tigers in 1985. But at least the Tigers had a healthy staff.
That's right. And right now,
I don't really think you can compare repeating with the pitching staff as dilapidated as the Mets staff is right now. You can talk about it, but you can't make valid comparisons because of the situation that their pitching staff is in right now. Of course, it's, as you said, only the 18th game of the season and a lot of games left to play.
And the Mets trailing the Cardinals by 1 game. Coming into tonight's action as Kevin Bass takes a strike. No balls and 2 strikes, and the right fielder for the Houston Astros, Kevin Bass. He was a pleasant surprise to the Astros last year.
I don't know if he was as much of a surprise as Hatcher, though.
No.
He's a good ball player.
Hatcher was a surprise the way he came over. They traded, but we'll talk more about it later on. But right now, the Astros are out here in the top of the 4th. They scored a run after 3.5. It's 8-1. Astros on top of the Mets.
Folks, the Islanders playoff action heats up tomorrow on Sports Channel at 7:30. The Islanders take on the Flyers in Philadelphia at the Spectrum there in the city of brotherly love. Game 5 of their series. The Islanders and Flyers tomorrow at 7:30, only here on Sports Channel.
And right now on Sports Channel, the Mets trail the Astros 8-1 as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning. Kevin McReynolds, who struck out his first time up, is the batter. He'll be followed by Darryl Strawberry and then Gary Carter. 8 runs on 4 hits for the Astros, 1 run on 2 hits for the Mets. He's had 2 errors in his game, a couple balks. 1-0 on Kevin McReynolds. Kevin taking a strike, 1-1. Kevin McReynolds batting in the 4th slot tonight. Gary Carter batting in the 6th slot. And down low, 2-1. We were talking last inning before we went to commercial about Billy Hatcher and Kevin Bass. Billy Hatcher coming over to the Astros for Jerry Mumphrey, and Mumphrey going to the Cubs. One of the reasons they traded Mumphrey, Hal Lanier told me that one of the reasons was because they didn't think they could sign him. It was in the last year of his contract.
That's why a lot of trades are made nowadays.
So a great trade, obviously, as McReynolds walks. So Jimmy Deshaies walking a leadoff batter here. There's Hal Lanier.
And Hal just told Glenn Davis to hold McReynolds on the bag. Now I wonder why. Now they're 7 runs down. You know McReynolds isn't going to run. 4th inning of the game. The Mets looking for the big inning, and if he gets thrown out.
Ooh! Wow. Shays is happy that missed him. Believe me, that was a bolt. Oh!
The Mets catcher.
Want to make your heart beat a lot faster? Be a pitcher.
Good example of getting on top of the high fastball. Well, it looked like it hit the pitching rubber. It certainly hit the top of the mound. And I agree with you. DeShays obviously not being able to react quickly enough. Really is scary how close pitchers are, especially tall pitchers like DeShays with that long stride, how close he is once he lets go of the ball. 52 feet away or so.
That's right. And now Gary Carter swings and misses in fastball, strike 1. Carter in his ball game has walked. I should mention the big pitcher. They ordinarily don't react as rapidly to a ball as a shorter pitcher.
They got to unwind.
Yeah. Off the end of the bat. Reynolds takes it to tag second, throws the first, double play. Craig Reynolds doing a nice job out there regrouping and touching the base and getting the ball over the first.
Well, that was a good play because of he never caught that ball cleanly. Ball hit the heel of the glove and it kind of crawled up his body and he smothered it. Watch, he doesn't catch this ball cleanly. See how that ball hopped up right there? He just smothered it against his body. Really took a bad hop at the last moment. One of the key plays in Game 3 of the playoffs last year was an error by Craig Reynolds in the 7th inning, and that set the stage for the Strawberry home run. The game eventually won by the 2-run homer Lynn Dykstra hit.
And Howard Johnson just fouled off a pitch. 0-1 on the Met third baseman.
Kind of hard to watch these two teams play in a game that's kind of out of control right here. 8-1 game without going back to how exciting the playoff series was last year.
And there's a ball, no strike, 0-2. In fact, the playoffs almost made, in fact, it did make the first few games of the World Series anticlimactic, and of course, then it became exciting, pressure. Of course, the pressure's in the playoffs. 0-2 pitch, up high, 1-2. Mets, by the way, have hit 22 home runs in their last 17 games this year. It's a drive foul. The home runs are as much a surprise as the problems the pitching staff has had. And of course, the pitching staff having problems with injuries, and Dwight Gooden and more injuries. Bobby Ojeda questionable now.
Yeah, totally unrelated surprises. Power department and the pitching department.
1-2 pitch, swung and a miss, strike 3. So that'll do it for the Mets. After 4, it's 8-1 Astros. Well, Jose Cruz will lead it off for the Astros. He'll be followed by Alan Ashby and then Craig Reynolds. Jose Cruz. 1-for-1 in his ball game. He's also walked. And curveball, strike 1. He's under arrest. There's a line drive, base hit in the left field. So Jose Cruz continuing to slap that ball all over the ballpark. He's now 2 for 2.
Jose Cruz, really a remarkable story. Entering this season, he had played 2,189 games, and that's the most games played by an active player who has never participated in a World Series. The Astros had their chance last year, but snatched away from them by the Mets. Interesting comments today in the newspapers here in New York about what would have happened had the Mets lost Game 6 going into Game 7 facing Mike Scott. Would have been interesting, but I'm sure none of the Mets wanted to speculate.
That's right. There's Mike Scott.
Mike will be the pitcher on Wednesday night. You can see him here on Sports Channel. 7:35 game time.
And right now, we have a 1-1 count on Alan Ashby. Mike Scott, of course, he was scrutinized by everybody last year in the playoffs. They were bringing baseballs all over the ballpark, saying it was sandpaper. 2-1 on Alan Ashby.
Useless scrutiny, we might add.
Yeah, it really was.
All it was, it made great stories to no avail.
Line drive, fair ball. Extra bases for the Astro catcher. Cruz will now they're going to hold him up at third base. So Alan Ashby with a double. His first hit of the game, and the Astros are smoking now.
Well, David Cohn is probably wondering when the carnage will cease.
Houston.
Cruz held up at third. There are a lot of reasons why third base coaches hold runners up in situations like this. You don't want a collision at home plate with a guy who's a starting ball player. Feel like for the most part you have the game under control. You don't want to take chances. Hard to believe the Mets actually had the lead in this ball game.
On a Keith Hernandez home run in the first, and Reynolds hits a fly ball deep center field. Mookie Wilson drifts back. Ball had to be smoked because the wind's really blowing in. Runners will advance. A sacrifice fly for Craig Reynolds. Cruz scores, and Alan Ashby hustles over to third base. Good base running by Ashby.
Here's pitcher Jim DeShays.
Give Craig Reynolds a sacrifice fly and a run driven in, and the Mets trail the Astros 9-1.
Craig Reynolds really getting on top of this high fastball. He has not had an official at bat this evening. 2 RBIs, a run scored. He walked intentionally in the second. An absolutely impossible squeeze bunt in the third with an RBI. Now the sacrifice fly.
That was a great squeeze bunt. It was a high fastball, way out of the strike zone. Gene Walter throwing in the Mets bullpen as David Cohn continues to pitch in this ball game, trailing 9-1 in the fifth. Shea swings through a fastball, strike one. 1 ball and 1 strike. Fly ball left field, base hit. Could be extra bases. Ashby scores easily, but DeShays hangs on at first base. Nice grab out there by McReynolds.
He's a good outfielder.
Yes, he is.
He has proven that so far with the Mets. And another base hit for the Astros. This one by the pitcher, Jim DeShays, and David Cohn's first major league start will be remembered by him forever.
It certainly will. There's Jim DeShays. One man down, Bill Doran, the batter. He takes ball 1.
Talk about stories you can tell your grandchildren. This is one story you hide from your grandchildren. You take the scrapbook away when they're looking, leafing through it. Snatch it away from them. Give me that scrap.
Unless you go out to win 300 games, then you can kid about it. 2 down. It's Bill Doran just flied out to center field. Doran's the guy you have to work. You have to work around everybody else to get the poor Bill Doran. He's 0 for 4 in this game. Batter now, Billy Hatcher. Runner on first base, and Hatcher takes strike. Joe West, the home plate umpire, calling a couple balks on David Cohn. We assume for not stopping.
Yeah, the strange thing, I think that rule ought to be changed. I mean, you know, I don't think, as you and Ralph were saying, I don't think he did stop. But who was on first base? The pitcher with his jacket on. Where's he going? I mean, honestly, common sense, maybe the rules shouldn't be changed, but common sense should tell an umpire that a guy's not going to be running, and that was the guy right there. And Cohn's doing the same thing, the exact same thing that he was called for the balk. So you got to call it again, right?
Yes, and David really struggling. Plus, it was a time when he was struggling, and Joe West decided to get in on the attack.
Why, shoot, if pitchers were called every time they didn't stop, Phil Niekro would have over 10,000 balks. So would his brother Joe.
And how about some other pitchers?
Why, sure. That's, you know, really ridiculous. He didn't stop then.
And there's a chopper to short. To throw to first, they got him. So,
Don't get me started.
so that'll do it for the Astros here in the top of the 5th. They pick up 2 more runs, and after 4.5, it's 10-1 Astros.
All proceeds going to
How about that Red Sox game, May 7th? The Red Sox and the Mets, 7:05 here at Shea. And good seats still available, so come on out. The Mets and the Red Sox. Of course, we can reminisce about last year's World Series. We've been reminiscing about the playoffs.
Remember, that's the Mets.
Because reality right here in '87 is tough if you're a Met fan. It's 10-1. Bottom of the 5th inning. 7 hits for the Astros, 3 for the Mets in this ball game.
Yeah, the reminiscing in this game is the only comparison that can be made is that the 2 same teams are on the field. None of the games in the League Championship Series were as lopsided as this game has been.
No. Of course, if the game was played like this in postseason play, I don't think it would ever be discussed.
Easily forgettable.
Yes. All right, now Jim DeShays will pitch to Rafael Santana. Nice crowd on hand. Monday night at Shea. School's still in. Cold weather. There's a strike. On Santana. Jim DeShays traded to Houston along with Peter De Jesus Horta and Dodie Rather by the Yanks.
I was in the Joe Niekro trade back on September 15th, 1985. He's a local product from Messina, New York.
26 years old. It's a good trade for the Astros, picking up Jim DeShays. He's done a fine job. Outside to Santana. Last year's DeShays 12-5. Inside 2-2.
And Bob, in Yankee history, however, see Dave Magadan, who pinch hit for David Cohn. He was DeShays, that is, was the 1,000th player to wear a Yankee uniform.
They've had some players, haven't they, over the years? Starting with the Babe. Lou Gehrig. 2 balls and 2 strikes right now on Santana. I mentioned earlier, DeShays threw a no-hitter while pitching for the AA Nashville Yankees. Pitched against the Columbus Astros. Shortly thereafter was involved in a trade to the Astros.
He was the pitcher of the year for the Astros back in 1984. Minor league pitcher of the year. I said the Astros, for the Yankee minor leagues.
And a high hopper to short, to first. If you're scoring, it's 6-3.
If you're not scoring, it's 6-3.
If you're scoring, you're with us too, believe me. It's 1 out.
And I would imagine it's a bit warmer where you are than it is where we are. Or it better be.
Yeah, oh boy, that's the truth. Look at this guy, Lee Mazzilli, and he's used to it. From Brooklyn, New York.
Look, Lee, with that pose, looks like he might have the secret formula for short truce. A Benedictine monk, possibly. The Swiss Alps.
And Dave Magadan, the batter, he takes a ball from Jim DeShays. Magadan batting 167, 1 home run, 1 RBI. (2-0).
And speaking of the Yankees, Dave's uncle, the manager of the Yankees, Lou Piniella. Dave from Tampa. As you look at the left-hander Gene Walter warming, and a really rough outing in his first major league start for Dave Cohn.
Fouled off, 2-1. Leave with that baseball. 2-1 on Magadan. 2-2. There's Lou Piniella and Davey Johnson. Two fine managers in the New York area. A lot of discussion about the Lou Piniella clause last year. Lou got so much money, and Davey was rewarded with so much as Magadan fouls the ball out of play. Lou told me in spring training to mention to Davey he wants 10% of that raise. Dave Magadan's father worked closely with Lou Piniella when Lou was growing up in the Tampa area. Worked closely with him as a hitter. Breaking ball off the plate. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
One of the, among many impressive things about Magadan, he does make you throw a strike. He knows the strike zone, a very disciplined young hitter.
He'd remind you Lou Piniella as a hitter.
Yeah.
Uses the whole field. He hits a fly ball, left field cruises there. He's been there throughout the game and makes the catch. 2 down. So with 2 men down, go to the top of the order, Mookie Wilson. Mookie rounded out and tripled down the right field line.
Here is the line on David Cohn. 5 innings of work. He gave up 7 hits, 10 runs. 7 of the runs were earned, 6 walks, and 3 strikeouts. 2 home runs, one by Glenn Davis, the other by Billy Hatcher.
0-1 on Wilson. 1-1. Oh, it's one of those ball games. What do you tell the troops? 5th inning, team's trailing 10-1. Swung on and missed. 1-2.
When the umpire says strike 2, there's only one thing left to do: play the game.
That's right.
All.
That's right.
Don't say anything in games
Just
like this.
Continue to play. Some crazier things happen. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. So that'll do it for the Mets here in the bottom of the 5th. They fail to score, and after 5, it's 10-1 Astros.
Top of the 6th inning, and Gene Walter, the new pitcher. Gene 1-0, his 9th appearance. His ERA is 2.35, but an ERA for a short reliever is not always indicative of the job he's doing. Gene has done a pretty good job. He won in his first outing. That was against Pittsburgh back on April 9th. That was his only win. Gene acquired in the Kevin McReynolds trade over the winter, a trade that sent Stanley Jefferson, Sean Abner, Kevin Mitchell. 4 Kevins in that trade. 4.
And they say Sean Abner off to a bit of a slow start in the minor leagues with the Padres. I was talking to Dick Hager, their chief scout from San Diego. Stanley Jefferson injured.
Leading off.
They're high on Kevin Mitchell.
For the Houston Astros.
And of course the Mets are very high on Kevin McReynolds and Gene Walter. Right now, Walter will face Denny Walling, 1 for 3 in this ball game. We have a 10-1 ball game. Astros on top of the Mets. 7 hits and 10 runs for the Astros. 3 hits, 1 run for the Mets. Reminds you of Candlestick Park.
Keep looking for Sergeant Preston and his dog King.
It's a bit brisk here tonight.
Shoot. I'll say it's brisk.
Understatement. Everybody's feeling it cold except the Astros right now. Walter misses outside. Ball one. Denny Walling, 6'1", 185 pounds. A fine job for the Astros over the years. Swung on and missed. 1-1. Inside, 2 balls and 1 strike on Denny Walling. Three and 1. I asked Gene Walter how important his college ball was to him. Just gave him a shot right there. Could be extra bases. It will be. Denny Walling hustling to second base, so he has a stand-up double.
Well, Gene Walter falling behind on the 3-1 fastball. Walling, when he knows what's coming, most every hitter in the National League, and in baseball, if they know what's coming, they're good hitters. Well, this guy is an outstanding hitter when he gets ahead in the count. Rip that fastball.
How about this guy? He knows what's coming. Clint Davis, 1 for 2. Long home run here tonight. Runner at second base, Gene Walter pitching to Clint Davis, and Davis takes a strike. I was talking about Gene Walter and the effect his college days had on his baseball. He told me it really didn't have much of an effect baseball-wise, but his coach taught him a lot of discipline off the field. And he just gave up a high fly ball that'll be caught by Kevin McReynolds over by the foul line. 1 down. So 1 man out. And the batter will be Kevin Bass. Shea Stadium, 1987. The Mets and the Astros. Kevin Bass 0 for 3. The graphic tells the story. Down low. Fouled off. Well, the Astros have their work cut out for them, just like the Mets. The Astros are with the Western Division, the much improved Cincinnati Reds.
And San Francisco Giants. The Giants beat Atlanta today 7-3.
Giants having a good time in Atlanta. But Dave Parker off to a great start with the Cincinnati Reds. There's a ground ball to third. Howard Johnson to first. Throws the ball away. Well, 1 from the mound, 2 from the field to play. Yep, he scores. So an error at Howard Johnson, the 11th run of the ball game for the Astros.
Well, the one thing that you have to do as a ball club is if one of your departments,
The left fielder,
because of injuries or for whatever reason, is playing less than full strength, you really have to bolster the other parts of your game. It's hard to do, but the Mets have not done a good job bolstering their defense. They have not played good defense the last week.
3 errors in tonight's ball game. And the batter, Jose Cruz, kicks that leg up and hits the ball right off the end of the bat, and Howard Johnson lets the ball roll foul. So it's strike 1 on Jose Cruz. Kevin Bass will have to go back to second base. Jose Cruz 2 for 2 in his ball game. He's had a great career. Look at that bat with that. The big head on the bat. It's got the tape on the handle. Breaking ball, strike 2. No balls and 2 strikes. So 0-2 on Jose Cruz. Slaps the ball into center field. Mookie Wilson's right there, makes the catch, and we get a double play. Score that one 8-4. A double dip for the Mets, and that'll do it for the Astros here in the 6th. But they pick up a run, and at the end of 5.5, 11-1 Astros.
Montreal Expos are shutting out the Phillies. And I'll tell you, there's something we didn't see all of last year. Mike Lupica of the Daily News just came in and said that he expected a lot of things tonight, but not a traffic jam that started in the 4th inning. How many times do you remember that last year? Now, you're used to maybe seeing that after a game with a packed stadium. A lot of disappointed folks here tonight.
Is it the score or the weather?
No, it's the score. Score. Oh, yeah.
They're leaving early.
Oh, yeah. You can book it.
They're saying they cannot come back.
Oh, yeah, they'll come back.
No, I'm talking about the score.
No, they will not come back.
But the fans will.
The fans will, oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you ever involved in a game this lopsided where your team came back?
No, but I'll tell you what, that's a good question. In 1964, the Philadelphia Phillies scored 8 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning with 2 outs. And the last out was made when Curt Flood threw out Alex Johnson. We won the game 11-9. And Alex Johnson was thrown out by Curt Flood with Johnny Callison on third base. Alex trying to stretch the single into a double.
So that was
he was the potential tying run, yeah.
As Tim Tuffle works a 1-1 count. I was involved in a game when Frank Tanana was in his prime, a young, hard-throwing left-hander.
Yeah, with the Angels.
And he had us, it was either 9-0 or 8-0 going into the 9th inning. I was with the Yankees at the time. Tuffle takes ball 2-1. And it was amazing. The late Thurman Munson, I believe, led off the inning. He made it out. Went into the clubhouse. We batted her out. He was in the shower. He had to come out, get dressed. He made the second out. We tied the game up.
Oh, no.
Oh,
is that right?
And we got beat next inning. That was depressing.
Is that at the stadium?
That was at the stadium.
Wow.
But Thurman was DHing that game, and I was doing the catching. We had to drag him out of the shower.
Well, you know, I said no, but I take that back. Back in 1976, the day when Mike Schmidt hit 4 home runs in a game, a 10-inning game. He hit the first home run off Rick Russell, the second off his brother Paul. I think the date was April 16th, 1976. We were behind, I was with the Phillies at Wrigley Field, wind blowing out, behind 13-2 with 1 out and nobody on in the 6th, and won the game 18-16. But Wrigley Field really doesn't count.
Yeah, but still, that's a great comeback.
That's a 13-2. Wind blowing out, 1 out, nobody on in the 6th.
That's exciting baseball.
Mike Schmidt got the game-winning hit, home run to make it 17-16 in the top of the 10th inning.
Keith Hernandez, 1-1 on Hernandez. He's hit a home run in this ball game. There's the wind blowing the flag. They were waiting downstairs to just have me stop with the wind. You can only see the flag. You can't see the wind.
No, you can't watch the wind. No.
1-1 on Hernandez.
Everybody in baseball says watch the wind. Well, you watch the results of the wind, but you can't watch the wind.
As Hernandez takes up high, 2-1. So some great comebacks in this game. I like that type of baseball, exciting baseball. I mean, you never want to see
you're never going to see that. I mean, you like it, but that's like, you know.
I like that exciting baseball. We could go Saturday night in St. Louis. Of course, the Mets lost that ball game, but an exciting game. Guys running around, throwing, sliding, hitting, missing. 2-2 on Hernandez. The Mets found themselves slugging it out on the road trip. They've been outslugged so far here tonight. 11-1. 8 hits for the Astros, 3 for the Mets. Popped up. It'll drop onto the screen and out of play. Almost dropped on our heads up here. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Keith Hernandez. On deck, Kevin McReynolds. Not a bad night for a ball game.
I'm looking below us. Almost hit a hot dog vendor down there. 2 of them. Some of the faithful below us still hanging around.
Dressed warmly.
Oh, yeah.
2-2 on Hernandez. Fly ball, deep center field. Billy Hatcher in pursuit. That was a good catch. He turned a couple of different ways. Finally, he was able to catch that ball. Hernandez hitting the ball with authority tonight.
He turned more ways than a Midtown hat check girl on that one. I'm telling you. Talk about backpedaling. This is not your Spalding God way to go after a ball anywhere, but Billy Hatcher does the main thing. He almost tripped there, but it really was a fine play. That is no picnic playing that wind in any field, especially center.
He wants somebody to say, nice catch. 1 man down. Who wrote that Spalding guide? I guess Spalding. Spalding wrote it.
Was it A.G. Spalding?
That's right. That's a pioneer in baseball.
Yeah.
In the Hall of Fame. Went on to bigger and better things. Started Spalding Sporting Goods, located in Chicopee, Massachusetts now. Up high to Kevin McReynolds.
Chicopee, Mass.
Chicopee, Mass.
Oh, Chicopee.
Chicopee.
Chicopee. Thought you said chickadee, as in my little chickadee.
W.C. Fields.
Uh-huh.
Of course, you're down there in Philadelphia. W.C. made his home, reluctantly. 2-1.
I think it was in My Little Chickadee that Mae West had that famous line, speaking of hat check girls. When she was checking her rep, the lady taking it, the hat check girl said, "Goodness, what a beautiful fur." And she said, "Goodness had nothing to do with it."
Fly ball right field. 2 outs. Yeah, W.C. in May.
I don't know how we segued from hat check girls.
I heard her one time ask W.C. Fields in a movie, "What have you been drinking, embalming fluid?" I thought it was a great line.
There's the very stoic Mike Scott. Bespectacled gentleman, Bert Pena. Shortstop under wraps there. A cold, cold evening here at Shea.
And Darryl Strawberry, the batter, with 2 men down. 0-1 count on the right fielder. Darryl 1 for 2 in his ball game. Swung on and missed. 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes, and Darryl Strawberry. One and 2. Jim Deshaies pitching as if the game's a lot closer than it is. And Strawberry turns that heater around. Good quick bat. Extra bases. And Tuffle will hold on at third base. Wisely hold on at third base, and the Mets have runners on second and third with 2 men down here in the bottom of the 6th.
Well, if you're a Mets fan, you try to pick out good things that are happening in a blowout like this, and one good thing that I think is coming to the fore is Darryl Strawberry's approach to left-handed pitching. He has 2 hits tonight against a tough left-hander. As a matter of fact, 3 of the 4 hits that the Mets have, 2 by Strawberry, 1 by Hernandez, off of lefties, and this guy's a tough left-hander.
How about the rip Hernandez took when he hit the home run?
Yeah.
It's a home run swing. Well, runners in second and third. Gary Carter, the batter. Down and in, ball 1. Took something off that pitch.
That's real optimism, I guess, in an 11-1 ball game. You're talking about the 1 run and 4 hits the team has with it. Now that's optimism. But Strawberry really is swinging the bat a lot better against left-handed pitching.
Oh, he is. A line drive, you mentioned his first hit off Deshays, almost killed Deshays. He threw his legs into center field, then he hit a rope in the right field off Deshays. 2 balls and no strikes on Gary Carter. 11-1. We were talking about some unbelievable comebacks. Three and 0. Shay's blowing on that hand. Awfully cold out there. They have to get that cleared if they're on the rubber. Well, obviously it hasn't been cleared because he's outside of that 18-foot circle, which constitutes the pitching mound. There's a strike. Three balls and 1 strike on Gary Carter. Carter pops the ball up down the first baseline, foul territory. Clinton Davis goes over and makes the catch for out number 3. So the Mets strand 2 runners. They fail to score, and at the end of 6 complete on the Sports Channel scoreboard, there it is, 11-1 Astros.
Carter moves from behind the plate and will go to first base. Al Pedrique, the new second baseman, probably batting second. Barry Lyons probably batting third.
Barry Lyons.
It's an 11-1 blowout here at Shea. Ralph Kiner back in. Ralph, Fran and I were talking about games where teams came back. Can you think of any games where the Pirates came back from such a blowout condition?
Well, it is a blowout. The wind is blowing everybody right out of the ballpark. But I'll reveal to you that way back, Cleveland was down 16-1 in the ball game. They were playing then in the National League against Cincinnati. They scored 11 runs in the 7th inning, and the game ended up in a tie at 16-16. But they were down 15 runs after 5.5 innings. That's the all-time comeback.
But you weren't involved in that
I wasn't
game.
playing that day.
How about
I had a cold.
Alan Ashby rips one down the line, and it's 1-1 down. How about you with the Pirates? Were you ever
We're
involved?
always on the other end of them. I can't really remember. You know, you don't. Those things you try to put out of your memory.
Yeah.
Unless you're on the winning side, like you were with Philadelphia.
Yeah,
against the Cubs.
that's the one time that I can remember, and I don't know why I forgot that initially, but did. Mike Schmidt had the 4 home runs, and the 23-22 game I was involved in 1979. The Phillies and Cubs again at Wrigley Field.
What year was the other game? 1976. You're down by 11.
Yeah, down by 11.
Well, that's one of the modern day games. That's in the National League. That ties the record. St. Louis in the National League in 1952 was down 11 runs. And in the American League,
that late
12
in the game?
runs.
That late in the game?
It doesn't. I don't have the figures what time it was in the game. But I doubt if it was that late.
In the 1979 game, a game incidentally won by Mike Schmidt against Bruce Sutter with a home run in the 10th inning to win it for the Phillies, 23-22. It's 1-2 to Alan Ashby to lead off the 7th inning, by the way. This one tapped toward third. Howard Johnson throws him out. Or did he? Yes, he did. And Gary Carter ran, looks like the thumb. And that was the same thumb where he tore the ligaments on last year in that game against the Cardinals in August.
Right here, now watch Carter. He gets hooked and his arm is out there. The runner gets him. Reaches in there and the glove and arm, and Carter had that shoulder jerked. I don't know whether his thumb was involved or not, but that hurt. Evidently he's all right.
He appears to be okay. Here's Craig Reynolds.
Looks like it's more in the shoulder than anywhere else.
Well, you hate to have something like that happen to anybody, but especially a guy like Gary Carter.
He's moving that left shoulder around like it did. Pull it pretty good.
Reynolds fouls one away, 1-1.
Well, that's a laugher, all right, for them, I guess.
Yep. Is a legitimate laugher for the Astros. Does it indeed appear to be the shoulder of Gary Carter. Isn't that something? Take your knocks from behind the plate and you got to go to first base, and the thing follows you around, I guess. Gary appears to be all right. Houston 11 runs on only 8 hits. There were 6 walks yielded by David Cone in 5 innings of work. His fastball is outside, 3-1. Ball 4. That's the first walk issued by Gene Walter. And with 1 out, Reynolds is at first base and the batter Jim Deshaies. In that game in 1979, the Phillies scored 8 runs in the first inning, and the Cubs came back with 9 in their half of the first. 2 pitchers hit home runs in 1 inning. I wonder if that's ever been done. Barry Lurch of the Philadelphia Phillies, and Donnie Moore, who was a reliever for the Cubs. I'll tell you about the relievers in that game. We mentioned it in spring training. In that game, started by Ray Burris, the relievers really phenomenal. Donnie Moore, Willie Hernandez, Bill Caudle, and Bruce Sutter, 4 of the best relievers over the last 8 or 9 years. 1-1 to Deshaies.
Now, they were just finding themselves at that time.
Just young pitchers in the Cub organization. Slider is high. 2-1 to Deshaies. Ball 3. There's a strike on the corner, 3-2. 1 out, Reynolds at first base. And Deshaies stays alive. We mentioned the possible injury to Carter's shoulder. He appears to be all right. And if you have not heard, Bob Ojeda will miss his turn tomorrow night. He is scheduled to pitch next Sunday against the Montreal Expos, and the likely starter tomorrow evening will be Terry Leach. You wonder if Carter's all right.
Yeah, you do, because he's still flexing it around.
Deshaies goes down on strikes. That's strikeout number 1 for Walter, and with 2 outs, that'll bring up the top of the order, Bill Doran.
Second baseman,
Randy Myers throwing in the bullpen for the Mets. Walter scheduled to bat when the Mets come up in their half of the 7th inning.
And on a good night for the Astros, it's been a bad night for Bill Doran.
2 of the, the best pitches that David Cone threw in the whole evening, and he didn't throw too many, were both to Bill Doran. 2 curveballs that just broke off the table. Struck him out twice.
1-0 to Bill. Better hitter right-handed this year and last year. Off to a slow start, but not in the power department. Slider is low, 2-0.
Had 6 home runs all last year, and this year he's had 5 already.
Ball 3. 3-0 to Doran. The Astros were 3 in the 2nd, 4 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, 1 in the 6th. Said 3-0, it's 2-1, and 3-1 now. counts, 1 foul. So with the count 3-2 and 2 outs, Craig Reynolds at first will be off with the pitch.
On a night like this, it's very, very hard to get any feel on that baseball when you're throwing it. Feels like it's a rock, very slippery.
And the fastball is low. That's the second walk of the inning given up by Gene Walter and the batter Billy Hatcher. You know, Houston has an interesting ball club, Ralph, in that if the players weren't weaned in the organization, the Houston organization, they were acquired by a trade a long time ago. You take Jose Cruz, Kevin Bass, Alan Ashby, been with them 9 years. Cruz has been with them 13 years. Kevin Bass, 5 years. Billy Hatcher, a more recent acquisition, of course, from the Cubs that Ralph alluded to earlier. 1-0 to Billy. Swing and a miss, 1-1. You don't usually have guys acquired by a trade stay with the ball club as long as they have.
Jose Cruz is a great story. They picked him up from the Cardinals. The Cardinals had given up on him, and they got him for $25,000. And he is one of the best of the players around.
Ball 2, 2-1 to Billy Hatcher. Craig Reynolds, another one, obtained in 1977 for Floyd Bannister, or was it 78?
He was originally signed by Pittsburgh.
So this is his 10th year with the Astros.
Local boy, comes from Houston, was a great athlete in high school.
Fastball high. Nolan Ryan's been with the Astros since 1980. Of course, Bill Doran and
How about
Glenn Davis.
Mike Scott?
Mike Scott
Been there
came
a
over
while.
from the Mets for Danny Heap. Trade made after the '82 season. Ground ball toward short, pardon me, and over to Pedrique covering. So the Astros failed to score for a change. No runs, no hits, 2 left after 6.5. It's 11-1 Houston. And we'll go right now to Lee Zeidman in our New York studio. Lee?
Thanks, Tim. Stanley Cup action tonight. Wayne Gretzky and the Edmonton Oilers about to clinch the Smythe Division title on their way to a sweep over Winnipeg. Wayne Gretzky striking here in the first period. The top of your screen moves in, winds up, and fires the shot that slips between the legs of goalie Daniel Berthiaume. That made it 2-0. The Edmonton Oilers have extended that lead to 4-1. Gretzky has 3 goals, 18 assists in the playoffs. The Oilers have won 7 consecutive games in the Cup. They'll clinch tonight with a win. That's the news for now. We'll have a complete wrap-up of the day's sports news on New York Sports Nightly after the game. Now back to Shea Stadium to Ralph Kiner and Tim McCarver.
Well, the Mets against the Red Sox Thursday, May 7th, 7:05 starting time. It's the rematch of the 1986 World Series as the Boston Red Sox come back to Shea to continue this annual charity event, with all proceeds going to the New York Mets Baseball Foundation and the Jimmy Fund. And thanks to 9X Yellow Pages, all fans will receive a suitable for framing full-color poster commemorating the 1986 World Series. Good seats are available.
All right, Ralph, and Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I should say tomorrow night and Wednesday, the Astros continue their series. And then on Thursday, the Montreal Expos, led by Buck Rogers, their third-year manager. They'll be in town for 4 games. And remember, on Saturday, that's a 1:20 game, and Sunday, 1:35. Then, after an off day next Monday, the Cincinnati Reds move into town on Tuesday and Wednesday. Tickets available at Shea Stadium's advanced ticket window, any Ticketron outlet, or you can call 718-507-TIXX. One note, this Saturday at 1:20, it will be Top Job batting helmet day for kids 14 and under to see those Expos from Montreal.
Well, here's Gary Carter catching the throw from Howard Johnson. He gets hooked, and his left shoulder is pulled to some degree. Now he goes in after the half inning is over, and he gets checked out by Bob Sykes, the assistant trainer of the New York Mets. So Carter coming up with an injury on that play, but apparently not that serious, as he has stayed in the ballgame.
And he may not be the only one either. Alan Ashby was the runner, and Alan Ashby has been replaced by Mark Bailey as the catcher. So Bailey is in there behind the plate. The only change made, so that would lead one to believe that possibly Ashby is suffering from an injury. This fastball from Deshays is high to Howard Johnson. Howard has been a strikeout victim twice tonight. Jim Pankovitz has moved into left field, spelling Jose Cruz.
How about spelling Pankovitz? That's not an easy word to spell.
And Pankovitz is being tried on the second pitch, and he makes the catch. So one away here in the seventh. Rafael Santana's 0 for 2.
Shortstop, Rafael.
Hal Lanier in his second year, as Ralph said, the manager of the year in the National League last year. Talking to his batting instructor, Dennis Minke. To Rafael Santana. Mets with only 4 hits tonight, 2 by Strawberry. This one will send Billy Hatcher back, and he makes the catch. Strawberry with a couple of hits. Keith Hernandez with his second home run. And the other hit, a triple by Mookie Wilson.
Your attention, please.
And here's Lynn Dykstra to pinch hit for Gene Walter.
Gene Walter, number 4, Lenny Dykstra.
Dykstra hitting .255. He has 2 home runs, 4 runs batted in. He'll get a chance to play in tomorrow night's ball game with a right-hander going.
And the Astros certainly remember Lynn Dykstra, whose home run won Game 3 of last year's National League Championship Series, and an equally big hit, one that was kind of an eye-opener, the pinch hit against Bob Knepper to open the 9th inning of Game 6, an inning in which the Mets tied it with 3 runs. 2-0 to Lynn. 11-1 Houston, taking revenge in the first meeting of the 1987 season between these two teams. There's a strike.
Last year, the Mets won 7 of the 12 games played between these two clubs.
Three and 1 to Lynn Dykstra.
The secretary to Frank Cashin, Gene Cohen. More than the secretary now, she's an executive with the Mets.
Yeah.
And her family.
Strike on the corner, 3 and 2 to Dykstra. Dykstra stays alive, 3 and 2. The book is closed on Gene Walter. Gene worked 2 innings, giving up 1 hit and 1 run. It was not earned. The throwing error by Howard Johnson allowing the 11th run to score. Astros have scored in every inning but the 1st and the 7th, and they lead 11-1. And Dykstra walks. So Dykstra is on there. Mookie Wilson will be the batter. Mookie is 1 for 3 on the night.
Wilson.
offensive hit for the cycle tonight. Single and a double by Strawberry, a triple by Wilson, and a home run by Hernandez. The only 4 hits that the Mets have.
Mookie's second triple of the year, and he is the all-time leader in triples for the New York Mets with 47.
1-1 to Wilson. Also the all-time Mets leader in stolen bases, surpassing Lee Mazzilli's 136. Popped up in shallow left field. In comes Jim Pankovitz, and he makes the play. Mets fail to score in the 7th, and after 7, it's 11-1. 11-1 Houston.
Your attention, please.
Randy Myers in there for the Mets now, the 3rd pitcher of the evening.
And an 0-1 record with an earned run average of 20.25. He has no saves. He has worked 4 innings. He has allowed 9 earned runs while giving up 6 hits. He has struck out 5 while walking 8. So Randy Myers, the 3rd pitcher used by Davey Johnson, and he'll be working to Dennis Walling as his first batter.
Well, a visit from our super stat man, Jay Horowitz, our crack statistician, the man with all the numbers, and I'm sure he has a very exciting stat to tell us now, an 11-1 ball game.
We're hanging on the edge of our seat for this one.
Well, he didn't disappoint us either. Now Jay, doing his usual superb job, informs us that it is official. Terry Leach will be the starter tomorrow evening. Bob Ojeda is scratched, and he will be moved to Sunday. So the woes of the Mets pitching staff continue. This one lined foul. And speculation that Dwight Gooden will be out of the Smithers Rehabilitation Institute this week sometime. He could possibly be ready in early June. Came out early today, Ralph. Saw Roger McDowell throwing in the outfield. Throwing ever so slowly and gingerly, but throwing nonetheless. 2-1 to Wallach.
Terry Leach has done a couple of real good jobs as a starting pitcher. Gave up only 1 hit in a 10-inning victory over the Phillies.
Back in 1982, I believe.
1-0 ball game. I mean, he really did a job there. It's the only 1-hit 10-inning game, 1-0 game the Mets have ever played. Had the pitcher pitch it was Terry Leach.
2-2 to Walling, and the fastball gets Dennis.
This will be his 5th game start. Well, it's right there, right on the black, and a called strike. Walling is off. Randy Myers with a 90-plus fastball.
Glenn Davis pokes one to right field on the first pitch, the 2nd hit for Davis, and the 9th for the Astros in this ball game. You know, Randy Myers follows through in a very unusual fashion. It's almost as though he's fighting, or the left side of his body is fighting to come through, the way he kind of drags that left foot and leaves his left foot behind his body. Kevin Bass, the batter. And Kevin rips one foul. 0-1. When you fans hear and see about a pitcher who follows through, usually that foot, the right foot for a right-handed pitcher, left foot for a left-hander, will be at least even with his body when he finishes. Randy kind of drags that left foot behind him.
He is strictly an arm thrower.
Yeah. Takes its toll on the deltoid muscle in the shoulder.
Doesn't ever get up, does it? Usually that back leg will swing around to be even with the front foot.
At least even. And he gets Kevin Bass. 2nd strikeout. for Randy, and with 2 out, Davis at first. The batter will be Jim Pankovitz.
This is a good curveball right here in a good spot. Bass over the top of it. So Randy, after giving up a hit to Davis, now has 2 men away on strikeouts, and Jose
Left
Cruz.
fielder, number 20, Jim Pankovitz.
Pankovitz in there for Cruz in the 7th inning. Jose being given a rest. And you got to hand it to that guy, don't you? Fastball is high. 1-0. Pankovitz batting .333 on the year. He's 2 for 6. Pinch hitter deluxe for the Astros last year. Ground ball up the middle off the glove of Mars. Nice play by Pedrique to get him. A 1-4-6 force out. Real fine play by Al Pedrique at second base. No runs, a hit, and 1 left for the Astros here in the 8th, and after 7.5, it's 11-1. The guys.
Second position.
Well, if the name Tecamachalco, Mexico, makes sense to you, well, it should, because that's where Aurelio Lopez is from. Senor Smoke.
Lopez with a record of 1
to say.
No. Well, it's down there below the south of the border, right? And he has worked 12 innings, 7 hits, 7 strikeouts, 3 base on balls. Lopez with an earned run average of 3. And he is appearing in his 9th game this year.
Well, at least I tried it. I should have said Laredo. That's where he lives now. Lives in Laredo, Texas. Al Pedrique, the batter, and the slider is outside corner for a strike. Fastball is high. Quite a story about Lopez. I guess Mexico stuck in my mind because how long he pitched in the Mexican League. Swing and a miss. 1-2 to Pedrique.
Yeah, he was there 11 seasons. Was one of the star pitchers in that Mexican League.
109 wins, make that 109 games. He saved 96 out of the 109 that he was in.
1 year for the Mexico City Reds, he had 30 saves. It was 19-8. You know, it's amazing, Tim, how many players that come out of that league throw screwballs. Did you ever play ball in Mexico City?
No, never.
Greatest
never
place in the world to hit.
Really?
It's so high.
Yeah.
That when you hit a fly ball, it goes and goes and goes forever.
Al Pedrique goes down on strikes for a strikeout for Lopez.
Number 33, Mets catcher.
All right, here he goes to the breaking pitch, and Pedrique no chance at all. 8 strikeout in the ball game. 7 by the starting pitcher Deshays, who went 7 innings, gave up 1 run. The home run to Keith Hernandez allowed only 4 hits.
Here's Barry Lyons, who had his first major league home run in yesterday's game, and the fastball is high. Home run off of Pat Perry of the Cardinals yesterday for Barry's first major league dinger. 1-0 to Barry Lyons. Ground ball left side. Good play, Reynolds. Got him. Good play by Craig Reynolds. 2 out here in the 8th.
Well, Reynolds goes over in the hole and back to the third baseman, and then throws from a running position. Still gets enough on it. And it's in time by a step. Veteran shortstop from Houston, Texas.
And Kevin McReynolds, the batter. Fastball is low, 1-0 to Kevin McReynolds. Strike 1, a ball and a strike to Kevin, who's 0 for 2 with a walk tonight.
7-game hitting streak in jeopardy.
On the corner, 1-2. Slider is low, 2-2.
Reynolds hit well against Houston last year, batted .349 against them with 22 hits, 3 of them home runs, and he drove in 8.
He likes the South. From North Little Rock, Arkansas. Fastball is low, 3-2.
Of course, he was playing with San Diego at that time. He had quite a few more at-bats as he played 18 games against them.
Southern California.
Southern California? That's south.
That's south. But he goes south after that swing. Second strikeout for Lopez. 3 up, 3 down for the Mets in the 8th. 11-1. Houston leads. Top of the 9th coming up. Fans, before the start of tonight's game, our own Ralph Kiner was down with Charlie McCabe to the left of your screen. Leroy Neiman, of course, the artist, presenting Len Dykstra the Player of the Year award. Manufacturers Hanover Bank and Trust. There's that nice picture, isn't it, Ralph?
Yeah, Leroy Neiman said he wanted to get some action in the picture with a bat swinging. That surely was captured.
Well, at least he had Len Dykstra as a left-handed hitter. That
I asked him about that. He painted Jesse Orozco, who won it one year, and he had him as a right-hand pitcher. So he had to repaint him. And I asked him what he did with that right-handed picture, and he says, well, I still have it, but I'm going to give it to Jesse. Of course, I think that would be a collector's item.
I'll guarantee you what Leroy Neiman's paintings are going for nowadays. 2-2 to Mark Bailey, his first at bat. Randy Myers, the 4th pitcher. Make that the 3rd pitcher of the night for New York. You never forget a Leroy Neiman painting, do you?
They're outstanding.
Really got his own style. 3-2 to Bailey.
Well, he has a little of the can't say his first name, Dolly's.
Kind of like Tecamachalco, Mexico.
Right. Salvador Dali's action and abstractness. Beautiful colors, fantastic colors.
Well, color this game bland tonight. It's 11-1 Houston. They scored 3 in the 2nd, 4 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, and 1 in the 6th. Hard to believe the Mets had the lead in this game in the 1st inning. And the at-bats that Craig Reynolds have had tonight, probably as unusual as this game. He has not had an official time at bat. Ball 2. He was walked intentionally and scored in the 2nd. Phenomenal squeeze bunt with an RBI, of course, in the 3rd. Sacrifice fly in the 5th, and he walked in the 7th. Ground ball snagged by Myers. A bad throw to Santana at 2nd, and for that reason they do not get the double play. 1 out.
All the little things the Mets are not doing are really hurting, and some of the things they are doing are really hurting. Right here, this throw, a bad throw, so they lose the double play. Santana has to reach out to get it, and then he can get nothing on the throw to first base, so they don't get the double play. That doesn't show up as an error as they got 1 out, but it does hurt.
Here's Ty Waller looking for his first hit of the year. He's 0 for 3 on the season. Ty entered the game in the 8th. Like a spring training game with all the changes. Jams him with a fastball. The only play Pedrique will have is to first base. On the play, Reynolds moving to 2nd. And there are 2 outs in the batter, Bill Dorn. You look at Reynolds at 2nd base, Ralph, and you see him call safe on that play. Remember game 4 of the National League Championship Series when Craig Reynolds, with the bases loaded and 1 out, hit into the double play? Fred Brocklander was the umpire at first base. He called him out at first. Clearly, Reynolds was safe. Mets went on to win that game in 12 innings, 2-1 on the single by Gary Carter. All those thoughts come back, don't they now?
Remember that.
Doran 0 for 4 on the night. 1-1 to Bill Doran. Top of the ninth, 11-1 Houston. Ball 2, 2 balls and a strike to Bill Doran. Fouls it back, 2-2. Randy from the beautiful Pacific Northwest, Vancouver, Washington. Swing and a miss. Doran goes down for the 3rd time tonight. That's strikeout number 3 for Randy Myers. After 8.5, it's 11-1 Houston. We'll be back to wrap up the misery after this. Finish things up for the Astros. Houston leading 11-1.
And Julio just brought up from the minor leagues, replacing Charlie Kerfeld. Solano 3-1 last year. Worked 32 innings, gave up 39 hits, struck out 21 while walking 22.
He is a neighbor of Rafael Santana. Lives down the road from Rafi in La Romano, down in the Dominican Republic, right near San Pedro de Macorís. And his 5th year in a row that he has spent at least some time with the parent Houston Astros.
Right there in a little area where they have a place called Casa del Campo with 2 of the greatest golf courses ever built.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Built by Pete Dye.
You played them?
I played one, and the other, well, they only had 9 holes on the other when I was there. But they are lovely golf courses in a lovely, lovely little town.
Well, Darryl Strawberry has had a good night. How can you have a good night when your team's trailing by 10? Well, you can single and double, and that's what he's done.
That came off a hard, tough left-hand pitcher.
That's a split finger fastball from Solano, and that's what he features. There's another one. It's low, 1-1. Ball 2. Solano, 27 years old, 6'1", 170 pounds. Signed with the Astros back in 1979. Strawberry gets under a fastball. Should be an easy play for Billy Hatcher in center, and he makes the catch, 1 away.
Mets first baseman Gary Carter.
Oh, Gary Carter, the batter.
Well, that practice swing, it doesn't appear that shoulder hurts him at all.
By that swing that made contact, it doesn't appear that it hurt him, as he rips one off the wall in left field, so all is well in Carterville. Gary's first hit of the evening.
And he stays on this pitch and drives it down the line. It's just about to go foul, but he hooks it inside the line at the 338 mark. And it ends up as a 2-base hit. Good swing on this pitch.
The shoulder injury to which we are referring happened when Alan Ashby grounded one toward Johnson at third in the 7th inning. Carter, who had taken over for Keith Hernandez at first base, caught the ball, and the ball was the home plate side of first base. It looked like Alan Ashby jammed Gary's shoulders. Howard Johnson fouls it back. Did not appear to be jammed too severely, however, and Gary appears to be all right. 0-1 to Johnson, who's had a rough night.
There's a play where Carter got his arm pulled back and the shoulder socket jarred somehow. but he stayed in there and came up with that double to put him on second here in the 9th inning.
Johnson has struck out a couple of times, flied to left, and made an error. Mets have 3 errors tonight. Split finger is low, 1-1 to Johnson. Tapper back to the mound. And the throw to first base pulled Davis off the bag. And I have a theory about base running in games like this, Ralph. Nice play by Glenn Davis.
Well, here's the play again. It's a routine play for the pitcher. Doesn't really have to worry about the runner at second. And Johnson not running the ball out. And if he had, he might have been able to beat it out.
Because it's a routine play. I think if you're on second, I think you run. I think you make him throw the ball to second base to get you in a rundown because of the routine play at first base.
Hoping he'll throw it away.
Because the rundown is not routine.
That's right.
It's less routine than the play to first base.
Keep the ball in play. Yeah?
Exactly. If you're on third, I think you do the same thing.
The more you have them throw it, the better chance you have.
Exactly. So much for those theories as Rafael Santana ends the game. Billy Hatcher making the catch.
Thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Well, a long evening for the Mets. It is over, however. The totals on the game: 11, 9, and 0 for Houston. 1, 5, and 3 for New York. David Cone, the loser. He's 0-2 on the year, his first major league start. And Jim Deshaies was the winner. Jim is unbeaten this year, 2-0 on the year. As Hal Lanier, the manager of the year in the National League last year, runs his record to 11-8. Well, 11-1 Houston, and before we come back for the wrap, let's go to Lee Zeidman in our New York studio. Lee? Lynn.
Patino intends to stay at Providence but does not close the door on the Knicks. Phoenix hires a new coach, as does Sacramento, where Bill Russell takes a third shot at coaching in the NBA. We'll have an in-depth analysis on all those stories when New York Post columnist Peter Vesey joins me tonight on New York Sports Nightly. That's coming right up. We'll also check all the Major League scores and the National Hockey League playoffs. Stan Fischler examines the Islanders' chances, and Brian Burwell previews the Giants and Jets draft strategies. We'll have 30 minutes of New York Sports Nightly coming up after the Mets post-game show.
Well, on an evening not fit for man nor beast, the Houston Astros best and beat the New York Mets 11-1. And Ralph, I guess the stars of the game tonight are the 28,000 plus that showed up.
Well, they certainly did, and of course it was a very disappointing night for them, as the Mets actually got off to a 1-run lead on Keith Hernandez's home run, his second of the year. That came in the first inning. But then in the second inning, Houston scored 3 runs without a base hit. There were 4 walks in the inning, also an error that allowed 2 unearned runs, and it was all with David Cone on the mound, and then Houston blew the game open with 4 more runs in the next inning and won at 11-1.
And what do you think about this? Now, here at this time last year, and of course at the end of the season, throughout the playoffs and the World Series, the Mets had the best pitching staff in baseball, and all of a sudden, Bobby Ojita's scratched from tomorrow night's start. He'll be starting next Sunday. He's only going to miss 1 start. Roger McDowell's out, Dwight Gooden's out, and the pitching staff right now really struggling.
It is a struggling pitching staff, and one of the reasons I'm sure why Davey left David Cone in the ball game for 5 innings, even though they were really doing a good job on him and he was very well in the ball game, was that he didn't have to use all the pitchers that he possibly had to use. So that way he did get 5 innings out of David Cone. I wonder if there was any psychology involved with leaving him in there. You know, like if you crash an airplane, you want to go up the next day and fly.
Yeah, that's right. And you're trying to really get him out on a good note. But unfortunately, in 5 innings, he gave up a bunch of runs. He gave up 10, as a matter of fact, walking 6. And the Astros really not getting a lot of hits. But anyway, it was really a bad night. By the way, the Texaco star of the game, Jim Deshaies, who won his 2nd ball game of the year. And coming up next, Fran Healy and his post-game show. I'm Tim McCarver, along with Ralph Kiner and Fran Healy, saying good night for Sports Channel, the official channel of the New York sports fan. Good day, everybody.
And welcome to the New York Met post-game show. Tonight, it was all Astros. They beat the Mets 11-1, and a guy who had a long home run in tonight's ball game, a guy who had 31 home runs last year, drove in 101 RBIs, my guest, Glenn Davis. And Glenn, it had to feel good, that home run.
It definitely did. That's an unfamiliar feeling that I've been feeling lately.
What has been the problem?
Well, I think I just pressed a little bit too much and put a little bit of pressure on myself to just jump out there and try to, create things happen and get our team going. And I have to realize that, maybe at times I'm not going to be able to do that. And hopefully the other guys will pick me up. And it's just a matter of relaxing and just getting back in that groove. And I worked with Dennis a lot today. We spent a long time in the cage down there trying to work on my mechanics. And I felt a lot better tonight. I a little bit more relaxed and was seeing the ball a lot better.
Let's take a look at the monitor now. We're going to get another look at your home run tonight. You can tell us about it. David Cohn throwing that pitch.
He got behind me. He threw me 2 breaking balls and got behind me, and it was 2-0, and I was kind of looking for some fastball, and he got it out over the plate for me.
Tell us what goes through your mind when a pitcher starts you off a couple breaking balls and misses, or one breaking ball misses. As a home run hitter, that gives you the edge.
Well, yeah, sometimes when, a guy misses, he's trying to throw breaking balls and he misses twice. He's got to come either, with he's not going to throw a changeup in that situation, and he's got to come with another pitch. And he wasn't getting the ball over enough that night where he was confident to come back with another one. And I was just, personally, I was just trying to see the ball, pick it up, and just gear myself for the fastball, and he got it out over the plate.
And Glenn, coming into today's game, the Astros coming off a tough series with the Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, definitely. That was a heartbreaker. That's when you come off a series like that, sometimes like games tonight, that's what you need to get you out of it. You just all of a sudden explode. Everybody comes together, and we weren't coming together as a team against Cincinnati.
How about the Western Division this year? A little bit tougher?
I think it's a little bit tougher. I think it's going to be a close race on our side, and it's still a long ways from being over, so you can't make any predictions. But definitely, we got to take it serious, just like last year, and one game at a time, and try to win as many as we can, because it looks like it might be a battle down to the end. One
of the biggest surprises for you here in '87 has to be the way you dominated the Mets tonight.
Well, that particularly, that's what I told you. I said I was surprised that that's the first time that we've ever taken control of them like that. And Cincinnati kind of reminded me of the Mets last year, but hopefully, we can keep playing the good ball.
Are the Astros tougher this year or the same?
I think we're the same ball club, and we got a few more bright spots. We added a couple guys, picked up a couple new guys, and some of the other guys that had slow starts last year are coming around now. So we're basically the same ball club, and we're just going to go out there and give it our best.
And my guest is a guy who had a home run in tonight's ball game, Glenn Davis. And when we come back, we're going to take a look at his home run again and the rest of the highlights. If you're an Astro fan, they're highlights. If you're a Mets fan, they're lowlights. So stay with us. Welcome back to the post-game show here at Shea Stadium. Now let's take a look at the highlights from tonight's ball game. Well, bottom of the first with 2 outs and nobody on base, Keith Hernandez hits this home run off Jim DeShays it was his second of the season, and it's 1-0 Mets on top of the Astros. Hernandez really tagging that pitch from Jim DeShays. Top of the second with the bases loaded and 2 outs. David Cohn walks Jim DeShays, scoring Kevin Bass from third, and the score is tied at 1.
Still in the top of the second inning with the bases still loaded. The Astros' next batter, Bill Dorn, it's a hard grounder to second base, and Tim Tuffle can't handle it. Jose Cruz and Craig Reynolds score, and it's 3-1 Astros. Top of the third, nobody out. Denny Walling, who singled the lead off, is on first. Glenn Davis crushes his third homer of the season. It's a 2-run shot, and it's 5-1. The Astros on top of the Mets. The Mets really having trouble tonight. And still top of the third, one out, runners on first and third. Jose Cruz sprints from third base towards home. Craig Reynolds makes a great bunt on a pitch thrown directly at him and successfully executes the suicide squeeze. Still top of the third, 2 outs, and runners at first and third. David Cohn balks, and Alan Ashby scores from third base. Joe West talking to Gary Carter as Ashby scores. Davey Johnson was ejected from the game after the controversial call. 7-1 the Astros. Top of the fourth, leading off, Billy Hatcher hits a home run to left. His third of the year off David Cohn, the second homer of the game off Cohn. It was 8-1, Astros on top of the Mets. We'll jump to the top of the fifth inning, and nobody out. Craig Reynolds hits a fly ball to Mookie Wilson in center field. Jose Cruz, who single, tags up on third and scores easily. It's 9-1, Astros on top of the Mets. Still in the top of the fifth inning with one man down, Astros pitcher Jim Deshaies singles to left off David Cohn, scoring Alan Ashby, who had doubled. 10-1, Astros leading the Mets. Top of the sixth with one out, Kevin Bassett's a grounder to third. Howard Johnson fields it, throws it over the head of Keith Hernandez. Denny Walling, who doubled, scores from second on the air. 11-1, Astros on top of the Mets. Final score, Astros beating the Mets here at Shea Stadium 11-1. Santana here flying out to center field. And once again, 11-1. Final score, Astros beat the Mets here at Shea Stadium tonight. Inclement weather, a bad game for the Mets, but the Mets will score off with the Astros again tomorrow night. We'll be back with a little bit more right after these messages. Once again, here at Shea Stadium, it was an uncomfortable evening as far as the weather was concerned, and also the score if you're a Met fan. 11-1, the Mets losing to the Astros. Tomorrow night, the Mets will take on the Astros right here at Shea Stadium. Danny Darwin on the mound for the Astros, and Terry Leach will be on the hill for the Mets. Once again from Shea Stadium, the final score, the Astros 11, the Mets 1. Remember, tomorrow at 7:30, the Islanders battle the Philadelphia Flyers in Game 5 of their playoff series. And Wednesday at 7:20, it's the Mets pregame show, followed at 7:30 by the matchup with the Houston Astros. Up next, it's Lee Zeidman with the latest on New York sports scene on New York Sports Nightly. This is Fran Healy for Ralph Kiner and Tim McCarver saying so long until Wednesday. And thanks for watching Mets Baseball on Sports Channel, the official channel of the New York Fans.